Hello all my beautiful little unicorns and welcome back to my channel. And if this is the first time that you're on my channel, please allow for me to introduce myself to you. My name's Vanessa Somuayina. You guys know me as your big sis from the internet as well as your favorite tarot reader here on YouTube. And in today's pick a card prediction, we're going to get into extreme details about the next surprises that are coming for you. And in order to help you figure those out, I have prepared 3 groups for you to choose from, and I would like you to pick one of these 3 groups intuitively. Group number 1 corresponds to the Muse tarot deck as well as the Jade crystal. Group number 2 corresponds to the Pastel Journey tarot deck as well as the Amethyst crystal. And group number 3 corresponds to the Magical Spirit Oracle as well as the Citrine crystal. And the timestamps to all 3 of these groups can be found below in the description box as well as pinned to the top of the comment section. I will now provide you with a little moment of privacy. Feel free to meditate on these 3 groups. Pause the video if you need a minute, and I do recommend that you pick whichever group naturally speaks to you. Don't overthink it. And get ready to lean back, relax, and enjoy, as this is a super detailed, accurate AF tarot reading. So I'll catch you at the click of all of your groups' timestamps. Hello, my gorgeous soul of group number 1. You chose the Muse tarot deck as well as the Jade crystal to help guide you through your prediction. So let's get into it. Let's figure out precisely what surprises are coming next for you. I'll just put your Jade up here so we can still have its energies and frequencies in your reading, of course. And now let's get into it. Oh, okay, as I'm shuffling, we already have a card that popped right out of the pile. This is extremely powerful. You know why? Because we received the Tower card that jumped straight out of the pile, which is a card that represents completely fresh beginnings, starting off on a blank slate, group number 1. So what's coming as a surprise for you is that something that you didn't think was going to profoundly change is going to have a complete reconstruction. So I mean a fresh job, I mean a completely new relationship, I mean building your body into your dream existence, building your life into it being your dream existence, and feeling as though, as we have depicted here in the Tower card, the old you taking the leap, having to go, having to almost be removed and completely kind of put away from your life in order for you to take shape in this new form that is way more confident in themselves, that understands, oh, we have another card that popped out, that understands that all of these changes are great changes. Big life changes can sometimes be surprising. The Tower card is literally the card of surprise change, and it can be stressful. It can feel like it's all too much, but you also feel when they're so necessary in order for you to continue to have fruitful ground for any of your ventures or any of the things that you're doing. Now here within the Empress, I do see that for you, a large portion of the next surprises that are coming is the realization just how much potential that you have that you didn't even tap into yet, and seeing that through and creating something from it. The Empress also represents divine feminine energy, creativity, love, these deep and core family values, also attractiveness as well. Venus is all about balance and finding this like aesthetic version of yourself that you really like. So stepping into your personal style. If you felt for a long time like you have a closet full of clothes, but nothing feels right when you wear it, you don't love anything, nothing fits right, I just want you to know that what comes next is you throwing away all your old things, starting from afresh completely, and stepping into the most comfortable, most like attractive version of yourself, most aesthetically pleasing version of yourself. I'm getting a huge glow up moment from the Tower and the Empress that comes as a next surprise because you just didn't expect it, group number 1. You absolutely did not expect that you would be this person that completely is catapulted from what you felt was like just about normal to being this starlet, to being this person who, whenever they walk in a room, heads turn. The Empress is also a representation of fertility, so if that's something you're either looking for or not interested in at this point in your life, you know what to look out for. Group number 1, you know precisely that perhaps you have to take more precautions when it comes to intimacy, or that this is, the fertile time that you were looking for. So group number 1, go for it. And don't say I didn't tell you so. Let's move a little further into your reading. We have the 6 of Voices that popped into your prediction. Now, the 6 of Voices tells us that the next surprise that is coming for you is the world being at your feet, basically. So something that seemed as though it was bigger than you actually bowing down to you. Do you see that represented in the 6 of Voices? And what this represents is you being able to speak up, share your opinion, and share your expertise, and your boss really listening to you. Your parents, those who are older than you, who you thought knew more or knew things better, who you thought would not be the ones to listen to your opinion and the things that you deem as correct and the way that you feel like life should be, they're actually listening to you. They're taking advice from you. So it's a change in power dynamic. It's a change in you really going from being more of an underdog, more of like the baby, to being the one that others take advice from and others really see as a point of getting information from that is valuable that they want to act on. So people really acting on what you are suggesting that they should do. Next up, we've got the Lovers card, which also corresponds to the number 6. So we had the 6 of Voices, the Lovers card corresponds to the number 6, and guess what? We have the Tower, which corresponds to 16. The number 6, and no, 666 is not a devil number. It is actually a favorable number of gratitude, of family life as well, and the Lovers does show me here, connecting that to the Empress. What comes as a surprise next is actually the start of your own family unit, whether that's finding the perfect partner or literally looking into the fertility time of your body and exploring that, being okay with the fact that, you know what, it's never a great time to start a family, but maybe now is the time for you. And I do also want you to know here with the Empress, the Tower, and the Lovers, when it comes to romantic love, what is built on a foundation that can last, that is going to continue on. Anything that was meant to crumble, it will crumble pretty soon thereafter you receiving this reading. And the Lovers is a representation of romantic love being yours, romantic love being here for you to experience, an amazing lover, an amazing relationship coming your way. And in a sense, also, don't be so hard on yourself for past mistakes that you've made. Don't be so hard on the fact that perhaps you needed a little bit of time to really realize your worth and to truly realize who you are as a person and what you need out of romantic love. So having the number 6 and the number 3 show up so frequently does show us here that with the Empress, 3 is like the first portion. 3 represents you. You are the foundation, you are the base. And then 6 is when you multiply it by 2. And 6 is when we get the Lovers. 6 is when we have other people involved too. 6 here with the Tower, again, relationships meant to last will last. Those meant to crumble will crumble. So 3 represents you, the single unit that is you in the Empress. And then all of the other cards are a representation of when other people come to play in the upcoming surprises within your life, as they are multiples of one person, right? So it's 2 or more people that are involved. So we have another person in the Tower, the 6 of Voices, and the Lovers, which makes sense as a partnership would be you and another individual here within the Lovers. Let's delve a little more deeply into what that partnership will entail. So we have the Page of Materials. What that will entail is building something from the ground up together and buying something together, like a home, for example, purchasing something that is going to create more of a bond, more of like this unit, like a pet together, adopting a pet. The Page of Materials also tells me a lot of firsts are coming towards you as a surprise. And all of these firsts being a surprise, it's just going to show you that you are taking on a completely different role, a completely different energy, romantically speaking. Like, you are showing that you're ready. You're showing that you are prepared for a real relationship and to take new responsibility on that you weren't able to do before. Now, here within the 3 of materials, we have other people being kind of woven into the story as well. So I want you to understand here with the Lovers and the Page of Materials and now the 3 of Materials, that in order to grow in the earthly realm, it is definitely also imperative that what you do is you remember sometimes you have to collaborate with other people. You're not an island. You're not meant to just be alone. You don't have to figure everything out alone. And collaborating with other people, it can mean, for example, wanting to make music, and rather than figuring it out by yourself, you get an amazing producer. Collaborating with other people, you want to create your own tarot or oracle deck. You guys know that I teach you that. But you may want to find an illustrator. You may want to find an artist who can paint the images, because perhaps you're not a painter. Perhaps you're not someone who feels like they want to paint 78 individual cards for a tarot deck. And that's fine. Here within Despondence, it's all about realizing that you don't have to do things alone, and to stay away from anyone who takes away that feeling of personal power that comes from the inside out. Because sometimes you may find as though there are people who take away your personal power, who make you feel like, why are you collaborating with this person? Why don't you save money? Why don't you do it alone? Why don't you just find a way to figure it out in a sense that is in the end harder for you, more difficult? And Soulmate popped right into your reading as I was shuffling. I'm not sure if you saw this, group number 1, but this card popped right into the pile, and it does show us here that your soulmate is going to be the complete opposite of what we have here within Despondence. Like, your soulmate is going to be the person where you feel at ease, at peace, you feel grounded, you feel like you can tell them anything, and they are just the kind of person who understands you in such a profound way that they're also a vacation from anyone where you feel that they actually thrive in your chaos, or they thrive when you struggle. If you've ever had that kind of frenemy or like family member around you, then you know how difficult it is, because you can't call it out, but you can feel it. And energy doesn't lie. And you know this, group number 1. You are big on energy. And I see here within the 4 of Blades reverse that you have literally given up the 4 of Blades being upright. That's why it showed up in reverse. You have given up being the one who takes the blows, the hits, the jabs from other people. Like, with some people, there's no point in being the bigger person. Don't be the bigger person. Literally be that individual who tells them to piss off, group number 1. You don't have to always be the bigger person in the sense of that means you take someone's bad behavior, you allow them to abuse you. That's not being the bigger person. That's actually allowing others to harm you, which you're not doing, group number 1, at least not anymore. And here within the 4 of Cups reverse, what I'm also getting for you is what comes as the next surprise is getting out of your little bubble. So you're going out a lot more. There are more parties, more get-togethers, and more festivities that you are partaking in because you want to get out of your bubble, because you want to put yourself out there. You want to mingle with other people. You want to socialize. You want to be together with others. And I see here within the Sun that happiness and well-being is the most important, and that's what's coming next. And it comes after a time where you perhaps felt like the sun was missing in your life, where you kind of felt like this happiness, this warmth, these rays of light were just not there, and now they finally are again. And it had a lot to do with underestimating how much socialization you actually need and thrive off of. Especially if you consider yourself to be an introvert or more of an empath, you can sometimes fail to realize that even you need a certain amount of human connection in order to do well mentally, in order to do well psychologically. And I see here within the Sun and the Four of Cups reversed that you going out more is really serving you, and it's helping you to climb towards more success. So what comes next is a great work-life balance that you haven't had in a minute, group number one, but you deserve it because the Page of Materials also represents someone who's young and who works really hard. And being someone who is tasked with finding your forever partner, upkeeping a romantic relationship, that in itself, I mean, the pressures. And then on top of that, you also are trying to be successful when it comes to your career. You're trying to make something of yourself. You're trying to make your own mark or create your own legacy. And that can come with pressures that sometimes feel really heavy and it doesn't feel good. And to kind of change that narrative into just basking in the sun, being happy, being well, climbing to success with ease rather than struggle, that's one thing that I can see is really important for you, group number one. And the 10 shows us that temporary struggles are what you are lifted out of, what you're coming out of. The 10 shows us here that literally there is a temporary situation that you're in right now that you're going to walk out of because it's no longer serving you and you're meant to climb up to the next level, as we have here within the ladder. And then the vase also is a representation of a secret admirer. So when it comes to love, group number one, I just want you to know love is in the air for you. Love is going well for you, group number one. The vase, as well as the lovers, the empress, these are all cards that show you are on your A game. You are the most attractive you've ever been. You are literally attracting secret admirers and amazing lovers who want to be there for you, who want to be in a real relationship, and who adore you. So having that in your life, group number one, I want you to be excited for this because this is your time, this is your phase, this is your moment to shine, this is your moment to next, as a surprise, literally have the time of your life, group number one. And I want us to move a little more deeply into your reading. I'm going to add some more messages and we'll go a little deeper, group number one, because I know you love these really in-depth readings. So we have rare and quotation. Yes, group number one, you are rare, all right? You are the kind of person that can't easily be replaced. And the quotation is that your value is off the charts. You're invaluable, okay? Nobody can quote any kind of price for you because being around you is something that is rare. Being around a human like you, someone as kind and caring as you. And I want you to remember this as a fact and to not give in to people kind of undermining you or making you feel as though you're not as rare as you truly are, because you are the rarest of the rare, group number one. You are uncommon amongst the uncommon. And I do also see here that there are some very rare quotes that give you this sense of connection. And soon after you receiving this reading, you will hear a quote that you've never heard before. A very rare one that you will take with you and that will give you a lot of strength and clarity during challenging times. For me, one of those quotes is that just as the day follows the night, you will receive that which you believe you deserve. And I spoke about this on my second channel. It's called Psychic CEO. You guys may have seen my latest video that I posted. It's called You Are Royal, where I explain to you about your self-worth, your value, and how to really get the most out of that and to create and cultivate a surrounding that reflects that you value and cherish yourself and that you want better for yourself. And that quote just always reminds me, you know, just as literally the day follows the night, because day always follows night, the sun isn't going to stop for anyone, Earth isn't going to stop rotating for absolutely anything. And just as that happens, you will always receive that which you believe you deserve. You always get what you think that you deserve. It is an unchanging truth, just as the sun will always rise for us human beings for as long as we are alive, at least. So I want you to just take a moment, let that sink in, group number one, as I clear and cleanse the space. Then I'll be right back for us to delve even more deeply into the next surprises that are coming for you. So just hold on tight and leave a sun emoji below, actually, to let me and others know that you're part of group number one. Why not? Because that's the only way that you would know that you are looking at a fellow person of group number one. And that's the only way you would know to leave a sun emoji below, by watching group number one all the way to the end of this portion of the prediction. But we'll delve a little more deeply, group number one. So just hold on tight and I'll be right back to guide you more precisely into the next surprises that you absolutely did not see coming, that are still on their way to you right now. Welcome back, my gorgeous soul of group number one. Now let's delve further into your reading, shall we? Let's get into precisely what the next surprises in your life are going to be, group number one. So let's see. We've got sacrifices. What will come as a surprise in this green vibe is that there are some things you will have to sacrifice to get what you want that you didn't expect. And by sacrifices, one thing that I'm getting here is the sacrifice of spending time being in a space outside. Sacrifices where you can't go out as much as you wanted to in the nature. It could be because the weather is changing. It could be because you don't have that much time because it's getting dark earlier. I'm getting this green nature energy of having to stay indoors and face a lot of your fears, face a lot of your procrastinations. And trust me, group number one, you're not alone. I have had to do so as well. And now that it's getting a little darker where I live, I actually even got myself a walking pad because I've had to sacrifice spending time outside because of the darkness, and I have to stay where it's illuminated. Otherwise, I don't feel safe. Take that message as you will, group number one. Let's move a little more deeply into it. We've got hope on the horizon next. So what I do see for you is that this upcoming few weeks from the point of view receiving your reading is going to bring an immense amount of hope back to your horizon, not just because you're here receiving this reading that's giving you a lot of very invaluable information, but also just because you are being reminded of all of the blessings that you already have in your life because you're spending time with people who do not have the same. All right, we also have GIF. All right, give. You're spending a lot of time giving. Obviously, we will also need the letter E for it to be spelled correctly, but phonetically, give is one thing that I see you doing that gives you a lot of hope. It's funny how literally, even if you don't feel like you have much yourself, the act of giving, the act of caring, the act of philanthropy, it gives you so much hope. It gives you this innate knowing that regardless of what you're going through, things are going to turn out just fine. Regardless of how many sacrifices you have to make, how many times that you have to bump your head in certain situations, you always rise back up. You always come back shining. Nothing can really keep you down for very long. All you need when you're feeling down is an update to your system, and this can actually be done with ease. It can be done pretty quickly, group number one. And the thing here with updates to your system is the fact that you are an innovative person, and whether it's a phase and a cycle of a lot more meditation, a lot more journaling, perhaps singing, dancing, moving your body, painting, just updating how your brain works is something that you do through action. It's something that you do through doing things. And updates to your system here from my Wild Muse Oracle, it is really giving us this entire notion of your future and the future surprises being dependent on how quickly you can update your system fearlessly. So don't be afraid to try something new and be bad at it. We all started off that way. Believe it or not, starting off with tarot, I also felt like I was bad at it. I also felt as though my craft was lacking a lot of skill, a lot of ability. It was hard to film the videos for you and to post them and to get over my fears many years ago. However, I continue to believe, I continue to sacrifice those fears, because you don't just have to sacrifice things you want to do. What about sacrificing fears? What about sacrificing stuff we don't want anyways? And putting that out there literally into the nature. We have the 8 of earth, and actually using it as fuel, using these sacrifices as positives, as fuel, as basically like wood to make the fire within us even bigger. So wood to make the fire grow stronger, to make it grow more powerful, and to show us that, hey, what about rather than sacrificing something positive or feeling like a sacrifice is a loss, how about we take the things that are slumbering within us but not serving us, such as fears, anxieties, overthinking? Why don't we throw those into the fire like it's fuel? Why don't we use that to create this ginormous explosion of literally becoming fearless, because we're having it evaporate into thin air. Now, within death and rebirth, what will come as a surprise for you, group number 1, next, is this announcement of a pregnancy. We had fertility already before. As you can see here within this cosmic egg, we have a little kid, a little embryo, a little baby. And then here we also have a frog, which is amphibia, that is pretty delicate. And having this delicate fine line between death and rebirth is what I see coming for you as a surprise. The fine line of being reminded again of how precious life is and also how fragile it is. The snake is a symbol of rebirth too. It is a symbol of recreating yourself, of basically shedding old skin, rebirth and renewal. That's what the symbol of the snake is. And that's also why, being a snake owner, I just find my beautiful little baby so powerful, because of what she represents and how actually snakes have been so demonized. Meanwhile, they are literally noodles with heads. Like, they don't even have arms. Just think about it. What else are they supposed to do as like really big, ginormous worms or so, basically? Like, all they can do is either like strangle or poison, because they have no paws, they have no arms, they have no legs, they have nothing other than their bodies. They're just one tube. So actually, if you look at it that way, they are poor little creatures that are in many ways pretty defenseless, but they've still made so much of it. They've still grown the type of reputation where a lot of people fear them, and a lot of people leave them alone because they're afraid of them. But I think snakes are more afraid of us than we are of them, to be real with you. And coming to your reading, I do see that the next couple weeks, it's going to also be about bluffing. It's going to be about learning that the beautiful thing about confidence is that nobody knows whether it's real. And for you to just be confident in a lot of situations, it's going to put you ahead of the game. And you don't even have to be confident for real. In some situations, you can just behave as though you are, because you know that that's what it needs in order for you to move forward triumphantly. And I see that love is just that. Now, receiving the love card, obviously we already spoke about how love is in the air for you. This is a reiteration. This is another confirmation from your spirit guides and your angels that we've got love here. All right, love is here. That is coming to you as a surprise without a doubt. But I guess now it's not that big of a surprise anymore now that you've received your reading, my beautiful soul of group number 1. Another thing about love in correspondence to the 8 of earth and death and rebirth is I see a real love from the past that's coming back, someone that you had real love for, who also had real love for you, and they are resurfacing. Now, does this mean that you have to get back together with them? Does that mean that you have to give them another chance? Does that mean that anything has to happen in that sense? No, it doesn't, group number 1. It absolutely doesn't. And in many instances, it is also best to just allow for the deceased to remain deceased, for allow those who, dug their own hole and their own grave to remain within that grave, to allow those who made their bed in a certain way to rest in that bed. And it's okay. They can come out every now and then and say, hey, look, I've been in the bed, but I'm here in the living room now. And that doesn't mean that anything needs to happen between you and them. However, I do see for sure that you will notice a lot of changes that have happened in death and rebirth in yourself, both in that person and coming back to confidence, you're in the power position because you are extremely confident. That makes you triumphant. That's what the Six of Wands represents. This shows us a triumphant pose. It shows us someone on a white horse. It shows us here that, you know, there are other people on foot, but you have this triumphant on horse pose, and that great news is coming your way in the next couple weeks. So there is this career that is going to come to you and deliver something to you. The career may be named WhatsApp, it may be Instagram, direct messages. I just want you to know here that fear is something that your guides are trying to ask you to keep aside, because you are going to be victorious, and it will just take away from your victorious type of triumphant energy if you allow fear to take a hold of you and get the best of you. Now, next up, we have the King of Swords. Now, within the King of Swords, I do see here that being a little judgmental, judging some books by their cover, that is good for you, because then you won't be surprised. A lot of people, they close their eyes when they see a book. They're like, I don't want to see the cover. I don't want to see the red flags. I don't want to see all of the pages that are blank, because they just haven't been written yet and people have not put effort into finishing this book yet. Not that we all have to be completed books, but some of us are just empty notebooks because no work has been done. And to judge that book by its cover, when you have put a lot of work into healing and growing and becoming an amazing person, an amazing guide, an amazing healer and leader, that's fine, group number one. You need to have standards for yourself, because if you don't, it shows that you actually don't truly value yourself and the work that you've put in. And then we've got the Tower again. The Tower seems to be following you. The Tower is a card that shows that something is going to be basically falling apart. Something is going to be broken, is going to burn down, that wasn't meant to be. And it's reiterated here right next to love, because group number one, in order for love to thrive and have space, we need to get rid of the snakes in a bad sense, in a sense as society understands snakes and people with forked tongues. All right, so people who say one thing but mean another, people who deceive. The deception is what's going to fall apart. It's what's no longer going to be able to keep up a facade. And oh, all right, we have another card that popped right into your reading very forcefully, and that is the Four of Swords, which we received earlier in reverse. And we spoke about how you don't have to be the bigger person in the sense of then just taking people's beatings. That's not the point of being the bigger person. The Four of Swords represents that you have this attitude of taking your time, you have this attitude of patience, and being a patient person really does pay off in so many ways, and you're learning how to be patient also in love. Just letting people come to you, just letting people do their thing, and when they're done, you're going to be the one who's like, okay, now that you're done with all your shenanigans, let's do some real talk here. Let's get into what's really going on, because not every action deserves your reaction. Not everything that happens needs to be commented on by you. Not everything that transpires needs for you here within the Five of Voices to speak, or for you to even ask a friend about, for you to even give it that extra sense of attention. And I want you to know here in the Five of Voices that when you concentrate on speaking up about the things that truly matter, and you leave behind the pettiness, you leave behind over speaking on what you can't change anyways, that creates so much more of an environment around you where people truly respect you, because they can just tell you're not here for any BS. You're not here for things that are basically meaningless. And next up within the Hierophant, I do have this message about the next surprise coming for you being one of a getaway, being one of you going somewhere to learn, to study, to grow. It could also be growing for your professional life, you know, learning in that sense, going to a retreat, literally like going to a yoga teacher training, going to a retreat where you can further your professional career, you know, getting an additional diploma, going and doing a little extra intensive courses and classes, language classes too. The Hierophant shows a travel, a journey, not just physically, but also mentally, journeying, traveling, growing, which is coming next for you, group number 1, which I'm really excited about. I also want us to just add a couple more pieces of information into your reading, because I love when Spirit just speaks so clearly through letters. So we have E, I, and A. So we are able to complete our give, aren't we? And then what I am also getting here is this artificial intelligence vibe. Give artificial intelligence a try. I know some of us, especially those of us who are not the much younger generation that already grew up with social media being the norm, it can sometimes feel a little bit foreign. It can sometimes feel a little bit like, does everything need to be AI? But I am getting this message that it's going to make your life a lot easier. And then we also have another A and a U. So we have this double A, I, as well as U within your reading, which shows me here that when it comes to your travels and where you're going, A is part of the name of where you're going. And then we have I and U for the city. We have I and U for the place where you're staying, the street. And I can see here for you, group number 1, that when it comes to this travel that's both physical and also spiritual, your guides want you to be so open to it and open to the fact that, yeah, you might go somewhere that is different, that is far away, but it's going to help you grow so much as a person. Because here within the empty chair, someone is going to be leaving your life. And rather than that, giving you an empty hole, you're just going to be straight back into business. You're going to be straight back in your bag, basically. You're going to be straight back into a place of exploration, of growth. And actually, that is what makes you this person who's so inspiring and so lovable, because you don't let things stop you. The empty chair, in connectivity to the death and rebirth card, is also a representation of you leaving you, the old you leaving, finally creating this empty chair so the new you, the empress, the king, the queen, can sit into the chair, because old you needs to retire, group number 1. So I am going to clear and cleanse the space one more time, as I do feel this intuitive hunch that we have some more messages for you, group number 1. You don't need to lift a finger, you don't need to do a thing, just continue to relax and enjoy your reading, and I will be right back to guide us even more deeply into your prediction about the next surprises that are coming towards you in your life. Hello, my stunning soul of group number 1. Let's move a little more deeply into your reading, shall we, to uncover the next surprises that are coming towards you. So I will pull 3 tarot cards from my Gentle Heart Tarot and put them, I wanted to say upside down, but actually face down, onto our table, and we're going to figure out precisely what the messages are. Let's start off with the card in the center. So we've got the Hierophant again. You are definitely going to be learning some truths that come as huge surprises to you within the next couple weeks and months. And I want you to know here that these surprises are going to be really shocking, and these surprises are going to make you see the world in a completely different light. We have October as a month that was actually the one that started to get this into the works. So just as the Wheel of Fortune in tarot is all about basically when something begins, once you start the process, it is eventually going to become bigger than you, so you can't really stop it once it's in the works. Like following your purpose. Once you're in the works of following your purpose, you can't all of a sudden stop it. It's not going to work out well for you. There are going to be consequences for that. And I see here within the carrot that precisely what you began during the month of October, the seeds that you planted in October, That's what the carrot represents. Opportunity or windfall that's coming from the seeds you planted in October, that you knew precisely here within the Hierophant that the crop may not grow today. It may not grow the next day. It may even take a couple months. However, you will get there if you plant those seeds and you believed in it and you practiced patience. Next, we have the Page of Cups reverse. So I see that people who are emotionally unintelligent, there's a specific person that is leaving your life that doesn't really know how to communicate or how to be emotionally intelligent at all. Let's look at their initials and letters within their name. We've got G and A. Wow, powerful. Group number 1. This person is leaving your life because they don't know how to do emotions. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to be in a healthy relationship. And they are the kind of person that you're most likely not going to miss because, well, here within the world reverse, all they were stopping you from was having the world, was having a healthy connection and relationship that could give you that ultimate fulfillment. And sometimes you may feel as though something is a loss, but actually it's just a win because it's making space and allowing for opportunity for someone who knows what it actually means to be committed. It allows for opportunity to get someone else into your life who actually appreciates you and knows how to show it. There's no point in having anyone in your life who uses excuses to be emotionally unintelligent. Next up, we have the Nine of Cups as well as the Strength card. Now, the Nine of Cups is like basically the genie in the bottle card of the tarot. This is the card that is all about your wishes coming to fulfillment. This is like the ultimate manifestation card that does herald good fortune, and it represents the things that you were manifesting coming to fruition and so much more. And then we also have the Strength card that appears. So often the Strength card is depicted with a lady or some sort of female who is taming a lion or a beast, not with brutality, not with any kind of force, but just through inner strength, just through this inner knowing between the beast and the lady that she is strong, she is not going to back down, and there doesn't need to be any force, there doesn't need to be any kind of negative way of taming the beast. It's all about being in the right energy. It's all about representing someone who knows what they want, who knows where they're going, and also who will not back down even if another individual or a beast seems to stand before them. And also aligning yourself with the same goals as someone who is a quote-unquote beast. So at the moment, especially when it comes to your professional life, you may be in a position where you want to accomplish your next income goals. You want to accomplish your next goals when it comes to getting promotions, when it comes to just growing professionally speaking. Aligning yourself with someone who is a beast in your industry is the best thing you can do, even if that means that you have to share the spotlight with them, so to say, even if that means that in a sense you're working with someone who is powerful and who could potentially take some of your earnings away. It's better to have half of a very big cake than no piece of cake at all. Remind yourself of that. And it's also better to learn how to bake the cake than to just have the cake given to you or only know how to go in and buy the cake. Now, moving a little more deeply into your reading, we've got the World Cosmos upright, which is basically the World card, just from another tarot deck, and this time it's showing up upright. The repetition of the major arcana cards that are showing up for you, group number 1, it's pretty insane, and here the World Cosmos represents fulfillment. It represents having everything that you desire and more, not being in a state of want whatsoever, and having this appear as the world also showed up in reversed. It is an indication of how quickly things turn around when you let go of these emotionally extremely unintelligent individuals and people that actually don't really deserve a spot in your life. And that's what I want you to remind yourself of, people who don't appreciate you, who don't know that they have to, and I don't want to say don't know, who don't care to treat you in a way that shows that they respect your feelings and your humanity, it is kind of time to let them go, group number one, and you will have nothing but blessings and happiness coming towards you. Now, the page of inspiration shows that in many ways you always try to people please and be kind to the extent that actually often it's like you're almost harming yourself because you are not expressing what you really need, and so therefore you're not really getting your desires met. And this is what happens really often with empaths and people who are just too kind for their own good. They ask for nothing and they get just that, nothing. And for you to get out of that cycle and that energetic frequency, group number one, you simply just have to start asking for what you want. It doesn't mean that you become this demanding, mean, terrible person who doesn't know how to ask for something kindly or who just always wants everyone to do everything for them. It's not about that. It's just about knowing what you want, asking for it, and then actually you'd be shocked at how often you get it. Like, you'd be shocked at how often you literally just be a little cheeky, ask for exactly what you want, and you'll get that, and maybe even so much more, group number one. So we have two cards that popped out of the pile as I was shuffling them. Let's figure out what these two cards are, what their meanings are, so we'll know why they popped out of the tarot deck while I was shuffling, because that is a clear indication that they have to be within your reading and that there's a very meaningful message for us to uncover about the upcoming surprises that are coming in your life, group number one. We have the 10 of Voices and the 4 of Materials. Oh, do you know why this message also came up of speaking up? Because if you don't speak up, you will get so tired of the material challenges of having to be almost like cheap on yourself and with your life, never taking the vacations you want to take, never buying the things that you know that you deserve, never getting the beauty treatments that you desire, never living in the home and living the kind of lifestyle that you desire and that you really deserve. That is the consequence of not saying things. That is the consequence of not voicing your opinion, of not voicing what you want, of not making it clear what you deserve, what you desire, and kind of what you expect. And the whole trick is to not openly say, oh, I expect this from another person, but to just simply state, this is what I would like. Because there is a way to state what you want without sounding demanding, and that's by being extremely matter of fact, just saying it as though it is the most normal thing on the planet, because it should be normalized. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to simply ask for a raise or ask for better job conditions, or literally ask clients to upgrade some sort of service that you are also offering, because at the end of the day, you are providing something, you are helping, you are creating something that is of value to another person. So why shouldn't you be rewarded for it? Why shouldn't you live the kind of lifestyle that you desire? After all, other people are doing so as well. Why not you, group number one? And that's my entire philosophy for the Unicorn Army. It's your time. Why not you? You create your own future. You create your own destiny. And being part of the Unicorn Army means fiercely knowing, understanding, and acting like you have complete sovereignty over your life, because you do. And the more you practice this energy and this kind of standing up for yourself and for the things that you desire and going for them fearlessly, the more you will actually find that the world can't help but provide you with your manifestations, but provide you with the things that you desire, because your world and your surroundings truly do become what you believe for them to be and what you believe that you deserve. So your internal voice makes a huge difference in this as well, group number one. So this is the reading that I've received for you. I truly hope that you found it insightful, that you enjoyed it. Leave a lion emoji below in the comment section to let me and others know that you were here, that you received your reading, and that you're part of group one and you watched it all the way to the end. Also, don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up this video if you're completely new to my channel, to never miss an upcoming prediction. and us just chilling and vibing with one another. Now, group 1, I'm sending you so much love wherever you are on this gorgeous planet. Feel free to share that in the comment section as well. I love to read every corner of the world within the comment section because you guys do really represent so many unique countries and cultures, so feel free to share that too. Group number 1, and I'll catch you either in the comment section or in one of our upcoming predictions. Hello, my beautiful soul of group number 2. You chose the Pastel Journey Tarot deck as well as the Amethyst crystal for us to get into the next surprises that are coming towards you. The Amethyst crystal, in case you didn't know, is a crystal that helps you sharpen your intuition, and it is an amazing stone for you to place around your home because it just brings great energy into the space and also allows you to make decisions with more energy that is intuitively fueled and made from a place of just trusting yourself. This is my Pastel Journey Tarot deck, the second deck that I ever published, you guys, which I'm so excited to use for this reading, and I'm so excited that you felt drawn to this deck because it has just been one of those most loved creations, which I am so proud of. So let's see what our guides have to say about the next surprises that are coming for you, group 2. Ooh, the Sun. This is a very positive card. Congratulations, group number 2. Right off the bat, you've received the Sun, which is a card of happiness, of warmth, of joy. You see here we've got the sunflowers in the backpack, and it just shows overall a picture of looking in a direction where you're looking forward to what's coming next. The sunflowers, they represent good fortune. They represent going towards a time in your life where things just happen effortlessly, and what comes as a complete surprise is that the warmth you're receiving from others is far more than you ever thought that you would experience. The 8 of Wands shows us 8 wands with these rosebuds that are moving very quickly into one direction. So everything is going to move rapidly for you, group number 2. You will be surprised at how quickly things are changing for the better and how quickly your life turns from bleak to sunny and super radiant. And the 8 of Wands also represents a kind of fast forward movement that is guided through just being not only inspired, but having this drive and ambition to do more, having this drive and ambition to accomplish really great and big things that are completely new to your lineage and your heritage and your family's history. The moon represents listening to your gut feeling. The moon having the number 18, whereas the sun corresponds to number 19. So it is as though we are receiving this in reverse order, and it resonates beautifully with you picking the amethyst as the crystal of your choice because the moon represents just what the amethyst does too, listening to your intuition and trusting it without second guessing whether the moves that you're making are right or wrong, but simply knowing that you making a choice, that is where it's at, and understanding that if you have to course correct or if anything pops up at a later point, at least you took the chance, at least you did it. People say, oh, they are afraid of failing, they don't want to do something and then it doesn't work out. Wait till you get the bill of regret. Group number 2, we don't want to get that. The 3 of Swords reiterates just that, because what comes as a huge surprise to you is that a lot of those older than you, and I'm even getting this like older individual, like a grandparent, someone that you cared for, and they're telling you about their regrets and some of the regrets that they have had in their lives that they can't correct right now or might never be able to correct. These regrets have to do with them not having followed their heart and their intuition, with them having listened to other people about life choices that they should have just made, and where they should have just trusted their gut and trusted how they felt on the inside about love and their career, and also turning hobbies and creative ventures into full-time careers, into like main occupations. Because I do want you to know that basically if you keep getting up and you keep fighting and you keep going, you actually cannot fail. There's no way of failure unless you give up, because that means you will keep trying until you hit success. And someone who keeps trying until they hit success is someone who is definitely not a failure and is not going to end up with anything that is seen as a failure, because you're relentless, you're not going to stop. Next up, we've got the Queen of Crystals, which is the queen of the element of fire. The Queen of Crystals represents you having a good time being in your feminine energy while still making things happen. So being in feminine energy and still being a boss, still doing those business deals, still negotiating, still making sure that you are spending as much time as you can on your grind, but you know, in that creative flow kind of energy that's just so beautiful, enticing, and it's the perfect mixture between femininity and masculinity. That's what I mean, group number 2. And it is just this very independent kind of energy. That's also why we've got a cat here. You're an independent person, so it does not come as a surprise that you will continue to be like that. But what does come as a surprise here in the Queen of Crystals is another cat entering your life. It may be a stray cat or a foster cat, literally even coming into your home. If you're not a cat owner, a cat sneaking into your home, and you just thinking to yourself, oh my God, this is symbolic from the reading that Vanessa gave me. I knew I had to see some sort of black, brown, chocolate brown cat, and it would be on the right side from where I'm standing or sitting. So that is your sign that it is go time, group number 2. That is your symbol that you will receive just around the time of you tuning into your reading. The 7 of Diamonds shows me that when you see that dark colored cat, when that cat comes into your life, what we've got here in the 7 of Diamonds is all of a sudden things are just working out, especially in the realm of the quote-unquote diamonds, as diamonds represent everything in the earthly realm. It's a little hard to see, but here these flowers are actually sprouting out of diamonds. Can you see that? So what we have here within the 7 of Diamonds is undoubtedly this whole energy of wanting to do more and doing more, not being afraid to do more, and therefore also accomplishing far more than you ever have in the past. Because of course manifestation is important. We've got 2 cards that popped into your reading. Manifesting is important, mindset is important, but it's nothing without action. It's nothing without being disciplined and doing what needs to be done. So in the Ace of Swords and the Page of Swords, you have this logical mindset of knowing when to manifest and when to do things. The Page of Swords and the Ace of Swords shows me here that there's someone really nerdy coming into your life. And you're like the queen compared to them. You're this person that they find really attractive and really cool. You are this person that they just kind of like look at and they're like, wow, oh my God, she's gorgeous. Like this person with the independent energy, like they are amazing. It doesn't even matter whether you identify as male or female, it's just about the energy, and they kind of feel slightly intimidated by you. They feel a little bit like, oh, I'm not quite sure how to handle this, I'm not sure if I'm good enough for this person. But still, here in the Ace of Swords, they're gonna try, they're gonna give it a shot, they're gonna give it their best shot, because they're at a point where they want someone like you. The Page of Swords is a air sign, so Libra, Aquarius, Gemini kind of energy, and they're a super observant kind of person. They're someone who is very creative, they're someone who is adventurous, they're someone who is logical as well and social, and likes to communicate clearly. Like they don't like to keep things in, they like to talk. They're the kind of person with whom you can talk to about everything and anything as well, which is a really great basis for any kind of relationship. They feel like they're kind of punching above their weight with you, but it's okay, because at the end of the day, they're thinking to themselves, look, someone has to be the more attractive one in the relationship. Someone has to be the one who's like a little bit cooler, who's a little bit more the it girl, the it guy, and it cannot always be me, and that's fine. I'll just be the lucky person to be with group number 2. I'll be the lucky person who is in a relationship with them. And I see here in the Ace of Emotions, literally the Ace of Emotions is the Ace of Cups, which means Ace of Water. The Ace of Water represents a new beginning in a relationship. So a new relationship that is starting, okay, getting into a new relationship. And if you are already in one, this is the renewal of an existing relationship. If you're single, I want you to know that what comes as a huge surprise is a new relationship that you didn't think would come your way. Now, why you didn't think this would come your way is because intuitively, you've kind of been feeling as though the options are not great. You've kind of been also feeling as though the point of you being a little intimidating is making the dating pool pretty small. And here within the Six of Emotions, your guides are trying to say to you, you've been looking at things from your lens, from your viewpoint, which is valid and great, but also don't forget, other people's viewpoints and other people see things in a manner that might be a little bit less black and white, that might be a little bit less like stark contrast, a little bit less also hard on you. Because group 2, I am getting this very hard on yourself energy that can make it hard for you to see what an amazing person that you are at times, especially if you have had letdowns and setbacks when it comes to fostering healthy romantic relationships. And having a romantic relationship is something that is a luxury in this economy, at least it seems like. So I totally get you, group number 2, but I also want us to just intuitively see what Spirit has to say about it. So we've got the letters E, U, and R. All right, so I'm getting Rue as a name. And then we also, of course, have Euro, right? Like EUR. I'm pretty sure, is that short for Euro as in the currency? But what I'm getting here is this kind of European travel and a name that is Rue, Ruth. Also Reuben is another one that I'm getting here. Let's move a little more deeply into it, shall we? We received, letter D, rude. Dealing with rude people, group number 2. Okay, rude. Group number 2, I love how clear and direct your guides are right now. So you're being rude to yourself. You know how we were just talking about you have your viewpoint and you're hard on yourself on so many occasions, unnecessarily. Spirit is like, why are you being rude? You are unnecessarily being rude to yourself. You're unnecessarily being rude to your ancestors in that case as well, because they didn't fight this hard for you to just be extremely hard on yourself and your accomplishments. You're being rude to yourself in love, all right, because you have things going on for you, group number 2. Like, you are a prize. Your love life is better than you think that it is. You have better options that you can pick from than most. And it's almost like this meme. Have you seen it, of the cat that's looking out the window and is like, oh my God, when is this loneliness and sadness ever going to end? And then the owner comes up to the cat from behind and wants to pet it, and the cat is like, oh my God, get off me. And then the cat just keeps staring out the window saying, when is this loneliness finally going to come to an end? It's really hilarious, and that's one thing that Spirit is trying to say to you. And also, you are being rude about your success in marriage and in committed relationships. Don't be so hard on yourself. You are marriage material. You are the kind of person who can be in this committed long-term relationship easy peasy. You just have to find the right person. And that's the key ingredient, not being so hard on yourself if you've made a mistake, or if you feel as though you've gone for people who are not the best match for you. We all need to go through that to find the people who will be a good match, in fact. And it's something that I don't want you to ever be ashamed of. And also, it's okay to come around and want marriage, even though you had a anti-marriage phase, all right? Because something is going to come towards you that's going to change your mind about it. Then we also have an ex, a rude ex. Spirit is being, I mean, Is this a joke? Group number 2, rude ex. What comes as a surprise is a rude ex making a reappearance in your life, group number 2. I can't believe this. I can't believe this is coming up in your reading. Tell me who you think that this intuitively is. You chose the amethyst as the crystal of your choice. Leave a comment below. What is the rudest way an ex has come back to you, group number 2? This is hilarious. This is really a very clear indication from spirit. Like, these rude exes, in comparison to your love life and the fact that you are marriage material, never let anyone make you feel like you aren't or you have to settle for their BS. Never allow that to happen. Group number 2, that's a very clear message you're meant to receive here. And what's coming up as a surprise is that this ex really has no grounds to stand on, especially being rude. Like, how dare you? But group number 2, I love where this is going with the clarity. I love the sassiness that Spirit is giving us. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear and cleanse the space, and then I'll be back for us to delve more deeply into your reading with more precision, with more details. You don't have to lift a finger at this point. Just continue to lean back, relax, and enjoy your basically personal tarot card reading. And we'll delve more deeply into the surprises that you didn't expect to come towards you next. So just hold on tight and I'll be right back with you. Hello, my gorgeous souls of group number 2. Let's delve a little more deeply into this reading for you so we can figure out what next surprises are coming into your life and when they're happening. So first up, we've got the Hermit. The Hermit may come as a surprise because you're going into even more of a reclusive state of being within your own world. It's almost like disassociating, really, and having this need to just be in solitude, having this need to just stay away from the world. Perhaps you're already more of an introverted type of person, but I just want you to know here, group number 2, what this represents is actually finding the most clarity, freedom, illumination, and understanding when you're by yourself. So rather than being with others, being the space in which you learn more about the world and yourself, you actually right now are in a phase where being by yourself is the best medicine. And I see exactly why in this next card that Spirit popped right into your reading, group 2. We've got the Ten of Wands, which represents packing it up and leaving, as you can see, and things having been just enough for you. The Ten of Wands is often a representation of you carrying things that are overboard, that are just too much for you, and having to hold heavy burdens all the time, never getting breaks, never being finished. And of course, a lot of life is never being finished. A lot of life is remaining diligent, disciplined, getting things done. For example, personal hygiene. It's never finished. It's not like you can ever just stop brushing your teeth or taking showers and it will become unnecessary eventually. No, it's something that always has to be done. However, I do want you to know here in the Ten of Wands that there are certain things that fall outside of that category, and these are the things that your guides are telling you to pack up, put away, because you're carrying too much of a load and a burden for other people. The Five of Pentacles shows me that you do this because you feel bad, you feel guilty in a sense, group number 2. You never want to let others feel like you're leaving them behind. You never want others to feel as though you're leaving them in the dust or here like in the cold weather, in the snow, while they need you, while they have broken bones or while they're broken from the inside. And you always want to be that person who is there for others even through hardship, even through their troubles, whether it be material troubles, whether it be troubles with their health. But the thing is, here with these crutches, remember, sometimes there are people who use their mental health conditions and their challenges as crutches in ways that you would never. Like, for example, using their mental health challenges as a crutch or as an excuse to be rude or to not be kind, all right, to be a little nasty, to be this person who doesn't keep up with their promises, who isn't there for you the way they want you to be there for them, though. And that's where you have to draw a line. As hard as it is, group number 2, I know it can sometimes feel like you're being mean, or you're doing the wrong thing, or you're being heartless. But the thing is, sometimes you have to have a heart for yourself. You can't always be the one who has a heart for everyone else, but when you need a break, you don't get it. And I want to see precisely what area of your life Spirit wants you to look into and wants you to stop just giving everything away. And that's when it comes to your wealth. And wealth isn't just coins in the sense of financial wealth. Wealth also means your own health from the inside out. And Spirit is trying to say here, what comes as a big surprise is that you're leaving a lot more on the table than you thought by trying to be a kind person. And that says so much about you, group number 2, so much positive about you. However, it does also tell us that it is now time for things to change in your personal favor. And I see here within the shield, which appeared next, and it's really crazy how these cards speak, you need to protect and defend yourself. Literally, that is what the shield means. And I'll put that over here with the 10 of Wands. Taking on work that isn't your work, that isn't your responsibility. That's the message that I'm getting here. You're taking on too many responsibilities of other people. Responsibilities that really were never yours, should have never been forced upon you, and that are now on the brink of breaking you, of causing burnout. And you may not even notice it, because you're such a strong person and you've gotten so used to this. You've gotten so used to, perhaps being the mom friend of the group, the unpaid therapist, the lawyer of the group, the kind of financial advisor, the person who's always there for everyone. And when you get so used to this, when you're completely exhausted and tired, sometimes the feeling is so familiar that you don't realize that you are closer to burnout than you think. And we all think it's not going to hit us, especially the strongest ones of us, the ones who have been strongest for the longest, who feel as though, well, it's not going to affect me, because it feels as though if it would have affected you, it would have already happened. But I just want to remind you that it often hits you a lot harder when you're an extremely strong person and you've been in denial of your humanity for a while. And the Page of Crystals here shows me that you've really actually taken a little bit away from yourself, group number 2, and your dreams and aspirations to please others. Is this something that resonates? Is this something where you feel as though you've put others first and therefore not made as bold of moves as you probably could have when it comes to your own dreams, when it comes to the things that you aspire to accomplish, especially creatively? As I see also in the Page of Crystals, that you are being called to start afresh with your creative ventures that you want to make more of. And don't be afraid to start something new and be a beginner again. The 10 of Diamonds is an indication that surprisingly, very quickly, actually, things will change for you when it comes to wealth, when you focus all of your energy and all of your resources back onto yourself. And when you do that, in turn, you become stronger, more secure, and more capable of giving back again. So never feel as though stopping the whole giving for a while to focus on yourself means that you're selfish or means that you're not a caring person. That's not true, group number 2. It is actually serving you and humanity and the greater good and everyone around you for you to first be good in your health, in your wealth, in your just entire earthly realm. And then you'll be able to give a lot more. And then you'll be able to provide a lot more to other people. The 10 of Diamonds is the 10 of the element of earth. It's basically the 10 of Pentacles in the traditional tarot deck. And as the minor arcana cards go from ace through 10, as you know, this is a card that represents completion in the earthly realm, completion in the element of earth, completion when it comes to the suit of pentacles, which represents all things that are matter, all things that are tangible, all things that are very human, that don't have as much to do with the spiritual and astral realm. And the 10 of diamonds, as you can see, it has like an older gentleman on it with 2 dogs. These dogs look like Dobermans, which are often also used as protection dogs. They're very inquisitive, intelligent, and also very strong dogs. And I do want you to know here that being this person who has a strong intuition can be very intimidating. Wisdom, which is something that is depicted, you know, in the white hair, white beard, and age, that is usually symbolic of wisdom. And then we have these dogs with the pointed ears, which I think is forbidden in a lot of countries because it is said to be animal cruelty, because for the ears to be pointed and pointed upward in Dobermans, they have to be kind of altered as the dogs are young to make them stand in that way. So I just want you to know here that this is a representation of no matter what comes your way, you are going to do what it takes, regardless of the pain, regardless of what anyone else says, to be victorious, to be successful, to accomplish your goals when you believe in them. But what you also have to take care of is the fact that being perfect and accomplishing your goals, it is something that you put a lot of pressure on yourself with, and this pressure isn't always necessary. And we realize that when we get to the goal and we see that nothing really changed that much. For example, your financial stability being different, you know, all of a sudden making a lot more money. It's often we do reminisce the times where things were different, because when you've got a new era, it comes with a new set of problems. And that makes us see that the entire journey is really the destination, because you come to this realization that every stage of your life, once you solve like one thing that you thought was your biggest problem, now you're in a new chapter, and that has its very own set of challenges, difficulties, and problems. So learning to really enjoy every step of the way and the journey, that's where it's at. That's the goal. That is where you find that true wisdom, the calmness, the patience, the intuitive listening, and the not freaking out about things ahead of time. Next, we've got the Fool, which is the very first card of the major arcana within the tarot. It represents the number 0, and we have another dog here on the Fool card as well, aside from the individual who is depicted as a fool, and they're also holding a rose here within their hand. They don't see that they are potentially in danger, because if they let go of this trapeze thing, they may fall into the abyss and unalive themselves, hurt themselves deeply. And the thing within the Fool is that whenever there's a new beginning, which is what the Fool represents, it comes with a new set of challenges or dangers, but because it is completely new to you, you don't realize this. And that is what makes the Fool so powerful, because the less you overthink and you see obstacles, group 2, the more you can do and accomplish, and the more you can also just follow your instincts, which is why we've got this trusty canine companion here on the Fool card. And holding this rose is symbolic of holding something that brings life, but also being gifted, you know, having this air of accepting other people's advice, accepting other people's gifts, being connected to nature. And the 6 of Cups here shows me that what comes as a surprise to you is just how generous the world is being with you. You're gonna get a free drink not long thereafter you watching this video, and you're going to be given a gift in the sense of something else that's material that is not edible. That's what I'm getting here within the Fool and the 6 of Cups for you. And it is going to show you that you're not always the only generous one, you're not the only giver, you're not the only person who cares and who wants to provide for their loved ones. as the Six of Cups here shows that when you are treated in a kind manner by another person, it really puts them into a space for you mentally. They'll never know this, but it puts them, is what I meant to say, in this box of, I trust you, I see that you're different, that you could have taken advantage, but you don't, and I see that you are a fellow empath. I see that you're a fellow overcarer and at times oversharer. I see you, and I trust you so deeply. And the Princess of Pentacles shows me here a connection to someone who is young, like a young Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo person. And the Princess of Pentacles shows that they're just stepping into a new era of learning their job, of learning what they want to do professionally. They are less experienced than you, but it's so fun to be around this person because they're genuine and you can tell that they're genuine, and you hope that they never lose this genuine energy. And I do also see for you, as a surprise next, you will become a mentor to someone younger than you. I see that in the Ten of Diamonds and the Princess of Pentacles. And you will give them the kind of information and mentoring that you wish you had, because then you would not have found yourself in a lot of very challenging situations that you had to put up with because there was never anyone to help or support you in the manner that would have really served you, that you really needed, and that would have spared you a lot of heartbreak, that would have spared you a lot of mistakes and missteps that were painful and costly, and that sometimes even made you like doubt yourself. I see here within wealth that you have made some mistakes financially that you feel ashamed of, or you feel as though, how could I be so dumb? How could I behave in such a manner? How could I put myself in this situation of having to worry, of having to overthink, of being challenged in the earthly realm? But group number 2, I just want you to know you're not alone. There's so many things being a human where we feel stupid. We feel like we made a mistake and we're the only ones who make these mistakes. Like the other day, I thought to myself, am I the only one who has paid way, way, way too much on their health insurance because they just did not check that there are certain things within their policy that maybe they don't even need. Like there are certain additional features that really you don't need and can make such a difference in how much you are paying every single month for these like services. And the thing is, everyone has been there. Everyone has gone through it. Everyone has gone through, for example, underestimating how much taxes that you need to pay. Property tax, for example, when you purchase your own real estate, you may think, oh, now I've purchased it, now it's done. No, there are still a lot of other costs and bills that will come towards you that you didn't expect and that you're just going to have to deal with. And you may think to yourself, oh, how could I not have known this? How could I not have been prepared for this? But the thing is, the preparation happens every single day. Group number 2, when you take care of yourself, when you work out, when you eat the healthy foods, when you have the green tea, when you eat the celery you don't want to eat, when you go out for walks and you get 10,000 steps, that's the preparation for dealing with these situations that are normal, because you cannot prevent absolutely everything, because you don't know everything. And group number 2, you don't know what you don't know. So don't beat yourself up over something that's out of your control. What is in your control here within the Hermit is your internal landscape. It is how you react to outer circumstances. But what you can't beat yourself up about is how these external events show up, because they show up for all of us. Trust me, never feel like you're the only one or you made a really silly, stupid mistake. If you've made the mistake, chances are someone else has literally just made that same mistake 2 minutes ago, who's perhaps just sitting across you, or who literally lives 5 minutes down the road from you, and in 5 minutes another person will make the exact same mistake and will feel the same way you do, alone, like they should have known better, and in a sense also feeling this shame, this guilt and shame. And why you're receiving this message is to free yourself from that and to remind yourself here within the Fool, you truly do live and learn, and you have to let yourself live and learn. Because so many of us, we focus so much on just living and we forget that you do live and you learn. And in order to learn, that means that you have to allow mistakes to happen and you have to accept that mistakes happen and not be hard on yourself for your own humanity. Group number 2. So I'm going to clear and cleanse the space, and then we'll delve even more deeply into your reading, group number 2. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't need to do a thing. Just hold on tight, and I'll be right back for us to delve even more deeply into your tarot prediction about the upcoming surprises that are coming towards you. Welcome back, my beautiful souls of group number 2. So let's delve even more deeply into your prediction about the next surprises that are coming for you, shall we? So let's get into it. We've got the honeybee first. Now the honeybee brings the message to let compassion and forgiveness be your top priority in this situation. Now what does come as a surprise for you is that an area of your life you've worked really hard on is going to have you needing to practice compassion and forgiveness towards yourself. So working really hard on your diet, perhaps not seeing the results that you desire or thought you should by now. Forgive yourself. You don't know everything. You're not a perfect robot. Just because you've put a lot of effort into this area of your life doesn't mean that whenever the results are taking a little longer to appear, that you're doing something wrong. Doesn't make it okay for you to then be mean towards yourself, group number 2. It's not necessary, and it's not something that your guides want you to do. The honeybee is all about being disciplined over a long period of time and understanding that the discipline is where it's really at for you. Motivation is great and it's nice to have that, but when you continue to work really diligently, even when the results aren't apparent, even when it feels as though somehow you're not getting anywhere, but just knowing that you're doing the right thing will eventually get you to your destination. There's no way that it will not, because the universe is extremely giving when you put in work and when you remain focused and dedicated. Next up, we've got the cardinal. Now, the cardinal is a bird that brings you the message of your polarities, of your spiritual pursuits and physical pleasures being out of balance, and for you to do whatever is necessary to bring them back to equilibrium. Yes, group number 2, you may just have to buy those electrolytes. You may just have to get that Pilates class membership. Perhaps you do need the new pair of running shoes. I just want you to know here in the honeybee and the cardinal that what's truly important for you is to focus on getting yourself in balance spiritually, emotionally, mentally, because guess what? You have given so much to the world around you. You have given so much to your career, to all of these pursuits. But it's important that you look inward and you remind yourself that you have needs and desires too. And getting those into balance is a thing of you dedicating time and effort and energy to making sure that you feel good, to making sure that you look good, that you smell good, that your skin feels soft, like whatever is your pet peeve, so to say, invest in it. And these things don't need to break the bank. You can, for example, get coconut oil very, very cheaply from a beauty supply store, and you can do a lot with that. You can do hair masks with it. You can use it for your skin. You can create all types of concoctions that are healthy, that are natural, that are clean, and that will make for an amazing self-care day and an amazing way to get you back into balance. Now, within the octopus, practice shape-shifting by altering your physical appearance and mannerisms. So literally your guides are trying to say to you something is out of balance when it comes to your entire appearance. Get it back into balance, because when something is out of balance, or you are not comfortable in your body, it becomes visible in your energy and the way you interact with other people and your mannerisms, like even how you shake someone's hand, your posture, the way that you speak, like the tone of your voice. Also, are you nervous or not? Like, are you able to look at the person that you're speaking to, etc.? And I just want you to know here within the octopus that the thing that you're going to want to focus on is shifting that narrative from it being just the norm, how you are now, to actually here within the sun reverse. Remembering that the current version of you is not the most glowed up version, group number 2. Not to burst your bubble, but your guides are trying to say to you, you've got another big glow up that's just around the corner. And you have to completely forgive yourself for like mistakes you've made. If you've been going through a phase of like seasonal depression and it's been hard for you to even get out of bed, brush your teeth, or brush your hair, forgive yourself for the fact that, okay, you have your own set of challenges and you've struggled, but you still made it through, you know? And now your guides are saying to you, it's time for you to reinvent yourself. It's time for you to shapeshift. It's time for you to stop overthinking how you will get there. Just take the steps to be there. Just start doing. Stop thinking so much. The King of Wands brings this energy of just doing. The Suit of Wands is a phallic suit, which means a masculine suit, as you can see here by the picture of the wand. The wand is like basically this wood rod, and it represents fire elements, fire signs. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. The King of Wands is someone who is completely secure in themselves, who is almost a little bit cheeky in their approach to life because they're so self-confident. And as you can see here, they're like sitting on their throne, they're looking to the future, they're holding their wand, they're sure of themselves. Like their body language shows certainty. And that's precisely what you're being asked to practice a lot more of. Group number 2, certainty from the inside out. I'm also getting this vibe of wearing red, some sort of red robe, a red piece of clothing. It can also be like a wine red, a dark red, a Bordeaux red, however you'd like to call that shade of red. And then we have the Knight of Swords as well as the Eight of Cups that appeared for you as well. Now these cards did show up in reverse, but I do want to show you the cards upright before we reverse them. Oop, excuse me, group number 2, there we go. Now the Knight of Swords and the Eight of Cups showing up in reverse, we've got an air sign, so we have a Libra, Aquarius, Gemini person who is actually re-entering your life. They left and they're trying to come back now. That's what the Eight of Cups reverse is all about. And it is up to you now, group number 2, whether you want to allow them back in. Some of you are of the opinion that once someone leaves, there's never any coming back. Whether it's a parent, whether it's an ex-partner, whether it's an ex-friend, for you, it's just when it's over, it's over. And if they didn't see your value then, first of all, who's to say they will not do the same thing now again? Because people never do something one time. Like humans have patterns and humans often repeat behaviors. Very few humans only do something one time. And then the other thing is, well, you value yourself and you don't want someone to treat you as though you were an option. You do, however, also have this thought in your mind that if it's been a long time, a lot has happened in between, depending on the circumstances, sometimes allowing them to come back into your life is actually a good idea. Let's see why Spirit thinks so. Ooh, we've got the Death card. You know why? Because with every death comes a new beginning. With every ending, there is a rebirth. We've got this moth and this just entire like death card depiction. It is just vibes, group number 2. And death is symbolic of transformation. The Death card is all about also sensuality, okay? Someone who gets your imagination going in a very sensual type of way, and that makes you excited to see what's to come next. And in correlation to the Knight of Swords reversed and the Eight of Cups reversed, this shows us that the individual coming back, they have gone through a complete transformation. This is like the new version of them. This is like the reborn version of them. Perhaps they have even come to a realization that they need help, they've been going to therapy, or they've had a profound change in their belief system, in how they feel about religion as well. And a death card just shows a complete fresh start, and people do change. Just think about it, group number 2, how much you yourself have changed in the last couple years, how different you are from who you used to be a couple years ago, or even just a couple short weeks and months ago, how much that can change in you from the inside out. Then we've got the Knight of Voices, which shows us this kind of like Pegasus, kind of like horse with the wings. And the Knight of Voices is the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Voices is just a different way of spelling out Knight of Swords. It's a different deck, it's a different way to say the suits, but swords and voices, it's the same. It's the element of earth, and twice we have this person showing up in your life, this air sign that comes as a surprise. So they left, that's the old story, and then they're returning as a completely new revamped version. Do you see how this version of like after death, them returning in the Knight of Voices, we've got the sun, we've got heaven, we've got them kind of riding in on this white horse, which represents peace and freedom. And we have this new energy, this new thing that's coming in. And Spirit is trying to say to you to give this an opportunity, because even if you don't want to rekindle a relationship with them, even if you don't want to be too close to this person because what happened was just too much for you, it will show you some huge changes and inspire you in many ways that you didn't think, to actually not just believe, but to actually see proof of huge changes that people can undergo. Then we have the Muse of Inspiration, which is basically the King of Wands. It's crazy how we have a repetition of all of the individuals that showed up within your reading in 2 different tarot decks. Isn't that incredible, group number 2? So the King of Wands is the Muse of Inspiration. So the suit of inspiration is the suit of the element of fire in this deck. So it's just a different way that these elements are represented in different tarot decks, which is artistically really, really interesting. I love the variation, the contemporary approach. And the Muse of Inspiration showing up twice, it reiterates to you, remember, you are in control. When you let someone into your life, when you let someone ride back in, it can be on your terms. There doesn't always have to be this fear here of something repeating itself, of bad history repeating itself, because history will only repeat itself if you allow it to. You don't have to allow it. You can make sure that nobody is ever allowed to make you feel like they don't fully care about you. You can make sure that nobody is ever given the opportunity to hurt you in the same way, or to fool you, or even to kind of play games with you in a way that you were not aware of before, because you just didn't have the wisdom, you just hadn't experienced it yet. Remember that you have now gone through the ringer, and when people put you through the fire, as we have here in the Muse of Inspiration and the King of Wands, they should not be surprised when you grow cold, when you get cold, right? When the death of that part of you that was on fire for them occurs, and then all that's left is cold, brittle ashes, and you don't have anything more. Now, gossip shows me here that there are rumors going on about you from people who literally don't know you, who see the fact that you have grown, that you have become this person who is not going to give in to any societal pressures, like just really growing into your own, being in your King of Wands energy, the energy of doing, of being creative. And yeah, when you post on social media, when you put things out there about what you're doing, whether it's your own YouTube channel, your own music, whether it's you posting reels, there will be gossip, but at the end of the day, who cares? Because anyone who's doing better than you, any very successful creative or entrepreneurs, they don't even have time for that, nor will they engage in that. So actually see it as a sign for who you definitely don't want to be close to, and who you're happy is not in your life, because the more that you see these conventionally like negative things as gifts, the more you will find this huge sense of enlightenment and this huge aha moment of like, oh wow, yeah, thank you so much for showing me that you like to engage in gossip and that this is like one of your core hobbies, because it just enlightens me to the fact that we are on two completely different pages, that we have other priorities, and that's fine. And you say it in a very just clear, to the point manner. It's not even that you're judging group number 2, it's just that you have a clear understanding of where your priorities lie, and you want to hang out with people who have similar priorities to you and priorities that you can resonate with more, and where you feel as though there's more that you can actually talk to people about, that there's more that actually brings you together. And that's fine. You don't have to be friends with everyone, nor do you have to lower yourself to standards that others have for themselves. So group number 2, we have some more messages for you. I'm going to clear and cleanse the space, and we'll get a little more deeply into your reading, as there are more surprises that are coming towards you. So just hold on tight, and I'll be right back for us to delve even more deeply into your prediction. Welcome back, my gorgeous soul of group number 2. So let's figure out what more is coming towards you next that is a huge surprise to you. Okay, it's time to move on, group number 2, and we'll figure out precisely what you're being called to move on from and when you're being called to move on from this situation. All right, so we have January. January will be your time to move on from something, and I want us to figure out precisely what that is and why your guides are saying to you you have to move on from it, and why this comes as a huge surprise. So this is my Wild Muse Oracle deck, and then here we have the Dark Heart Tarot deck. It's going to guide us a little more deeply into your reading. We have the Page of Cups reversed. The Page of Cups reversed shows me there is a very childish person that you have to email and communicate back and forth with, where it's time for you to move on during the month of January. They are very childish because they don't know how to control their emotions, and here within the Hermit reverse, you are finally going to be speaking up to them about the fact that it is annoying having to deal with them. They are childish, they're getting on your nerves, and you don't want to have to keep putting up with this childish behavior. Also, just moving up in the ranks of your professional life will have you dealing with less people who are time wasters, quite frankly speaking. And I do also see here in time to move on, and the Page of Cups in the Hermit reverse, is that you're no longer going to try to figure people out. You believe exactly what they show you. If what they show you is disinterest, disrespect, or just kind of uncertainty that they're giving you, great, you're taking that for face value, you're moving on. You're not going to spend your life kind of overthinking what may be going on in someone's mind. You are literally too busy, you're too occupied with your own things, you are too obsessed with creating the life and the reality of your dreams to be worried about what someone else might or might not be thinking, and how someone else might or might not be feeling toward you or about you. And it's just not something you want to spend your time thinking about or ruminating, because it's simply a waste of your time. Group number 2. And this is coming from a deep place of healing. You are actually healing. You have actually healed a lot of your childhood traumas and wounds and bonds, like literally soul ties that you had, have been severed, cut, separated. The healing card is a representation of January and upcoming months being a time of profound healing, of really deep liberation of who you are, and also being in your royal king energy, like literally king and queen energy, king and queen consciousness. I spoke about this on my second channel in a video I published recently, and the video is titled "You Are Royal." Like, I'm sure you can just type it in on YouTube or type in Psychic CEO, and you will find my second channel that I just launched, and You guys have been loving these videos as they go so deep into manifestation and your subconscious awareness, and healing is an integral part where you notice that you have been healing when you are actually stepping into your queen consciousness, when you're actually stepping into behaving like the healed version of you rather than just trying to heal frantically. And next up, we've received the child in your reading. Literally, did we not just talk about how you have healed childhood bonds, traumas, and things that you experienced that no kid should? And we have this progression also, as you can see with the child, we have a lot of the purple. Purple is a regal, royal type of color. It is also a color of mysticism, a very psychic color. And then in healing, we have another cloak that is also purple. We have the purple too. So it's like you've taken all of this psychic ability, all this mysticism, you're still wearing it as a protective cloak to protect you from the weather, to protect you from temperature, to protect you from the sun. This is a representation of you wearing all of your childlike wonderment as a cloak of protection, because you are actually living in a bubble where you had childhood traumas, but the fact that you still have a childlike sense of wonderment, a childlike innocence to you, it protects you so much from the harshness of the world, because you don't see things in such a bleak, dark manner. Things are not just black or white to you. You see things on a full spectrum, and this makes for a life that is always interesting, that's always fun, where there's always something going on, and where you never give up. And that's your healing. Your healing is coming to a point where, regardless of what is thrown at you, you know that there's always some sort of solution, and there's always a perspective from which you can see things that proves that actually there's always a positive opportunity in everything that may first seem like a challenge. Now, the Sensashal is connected to the element of earth, and it shows us that you have all of the keys and all of the resources to open the next doors that you need in order to move into this space of understanding yourself so deeply that when it's time to move on from situations, you don't think twice, you just move. You don't even ask yourself if you're losing something or what the situation is all about. You just do, because you don't have time to waste with any situation that causes internal conflict. That's what we have here in the Five of Fire. What comes as a huge surprise is that a lot of things that used to bother you, they don't bother you anymore. You really, genuinely, literally do not care. You do not give a flying F. And that's not because you have become this cold person who doesn't have feelings anymore or doesn't allow themselves to feel. It's just that you have other priorities. You have other things that you want for your brain to focus on and your nervous system to focus on, and those are things that serve you. Those are things that do not harm you. Those are things that actually bring you joy, that make you feel like, oh, wow, I have an amazing vision for the future that I'm going to actually fulfill. Here we have the Nine of Water, which looks a little gloomy, but the Nine of Water, which is the Nine of Cups card, is actually a card of manifestation. It's a card of, like we have here, like a third eye opening kind of energy. And all of the things, all of the light, all of the information, all of the messages coming to you about precisely what you should do to move forward, how you should best move forward. Because sometimes we feel like we kind of know that we want to be successful or we want to accomplish things, but we don't know how. We overthink the how all the time. Meanwhile, the how is none of your business. Group number 2, simply listen to your internal guidance and your angel guardians and allow for them to tell you what the next steps are. You're thinking too much, taking too little action is what I'm getting here about you, group number 2, and it's just because you care so much and you can be a bit of a perfectionist. I'm getting like Libra, Virgo type of energy in your birth chart that makes you this individual who you want to do things really well. You don't want to let anyone down, and I get that, but at the same time, don't make that hold you back, because all of the action is taking a long time for you to complete. So next we received sock, a soft, usually knitted covering for the foot and ankle that may reach as high as the knee. It is usually worn inside a shoe, a hard hit or blow, usually with the fist. So one thing that your guides want to say to you here: throw your old socks away. All right, there's no elegant way to put it, just throw the old socks away. Like, socks should not be kept that long. Group number 2. Like, even if you wash them, come on now. Just throw the socks from high school away. You don't need them, get new ones. Then we also have sing. So singing and doing music using your voice is not only highly therapeutic, but you can become really good at this more quickly than you expected, and you can get back into it more quickly than you think. Now, to make the melodious sound that is characteristic of an animal species, to make a continuous whistling, humming, or ringing sound. So singing is also, of course, something that you can do to like emanate an animal, but I'm talking about actual singing in the sense of those karaoke versions of songs here on YouTube that we all love to sing along to. And one thing that your guides want you to do, especially after you've received this reading, this is a great thing for you to move on and do now after this little healing and therapy session on my channel, is to move on to sing, to use your voice, even if you don't think you're the best singer. It is therapeutic, and as you sing, your voice actually vibrates through your body. It's like you are creating your own healing vibration in your body, and you don't need anything external to heal you. You can do that by the vibrations of your own voice. Now, group number 2, this is the reading that I've received for you. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you found it insightful. Feel free to let me know below in the comment section. Leave a little water drop emoji below to let me and others know that you were here, that you were part of group number 2, and you watched your reading all the way to the end, because that's the only way that anyone would know group number 2. It's like our little secret. And group 2, wherever you are on this gorgeous planet that we call home, I'm sending you hugs. I'm sending you so much love. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. As I've seen in my analytics, about 50% of you guys are not yet subscribed. What are you doing? We clearly vibe with one another. So hit the subscribe button. It is easy, it's free, it's straight to the point. And that way I will catch you in one of our upcoming predictions together. Hello, my lovely souls of group number 3. Welcome to your tarot card prediction on the next surprises that are coming towards your life. You chose the Magical Spirit Oracle as well as the Citrine crystal. This is the gorgeous Citrine, so I'll just put that right up here for you so the Citrine can continue to unfold its energies as we get into your reading. So let's see precisely what surprises are coming next for you, group number 3. So you can be as prepared as possible. So first up, okay, we've got number 29. Sometimes you will break before you bloom. Breaking into bloom. We have got a season of liberation as well as understanding next. So you understanding that sometimes it feels like you are breaking before you are healing. Sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart before everything gets way better, and actually everything turns out for the absolute best. You know that feeling when you really wanted something? Like you really wanted that job, you really wanted that opportunity to work out, you really wanted for that path to be yours, and then it doesn't, and when it doesn't go that way, you feel shattered, but shortly thereafter, something way better comes into your life. Like you get a way better job that is actually even closer to your home, so you don't have to commute as long, or you get to work from home all the time, you get paid more. Actually, you find a way better partner who truly appreciates you and actually knows how to communicate and to show it in a way that makes sense to you. So this is actually so liberating to go through the process of always knowing if something doesn't work out, the universe, your angels have something far better in store, and that wasn't meant for you, because what was meant for you is, again, liberation, is something way better. So just let it be unbothered. That is precisely what you are in need of learning, solidifying, just becoming a pro at, really. We have number 43 here. And if you are a free spirit, if you consider yourself to be someone who is naturally a little wild and very authentic in who they are, first it feels really hard. It feels like a huge hurdle to overcome, from being naturally an empath and super caring to actually being unbothered. But let me tell you, once you learn how to be unbothered and to just be in the flow state of your creations and of your creativity, oh my goodness, it's like time flies while you're in your zone. You're making progress, you're creating, you're furthering your career, you're focused on you, that you won't even notice the things that you used to stress over in the past. You won't even notice the people that you used to overthink about once you master this. Next up, we've got the goddess of the sea. It's time for you to come home. It's time for you to be who you were meant to be. And in the goddess of the sea, we have number 34, and in liberation, we have 43. So a reversal of this liberation, kind of like the flip side, if you will, the other viewpoint of it is to feel completely at home, to be completely free, to purify yourself and your ego of who you feel like you are supposed to be for family, for society, for those who expect you to have a particular career path, to just being you and looking like you, whether that's with blue hair, whether that's crazy nail polish or nails, whether that's you wearing makeup that is different than anyone else in your friend circle and in your family, wearing jewelry that just stands out, also tattoos as well, body modifications, and having a very unique look. It's time for you here in the Goddess of the Sea to return back to where your heart is really feeling free and feeling connected to, because when you create a version of yourself that you feel comfortable in, that you feel connected to, everything else falls into place. But you have to liberate yourself from feeling the need to fit in and feeling the need to please others. Here within the shaman, we've got some insights coming towards you. We've got the number 30, and we also have a keyword here that might stir up some emotion: lunatic. All right, and I want you to know here with lunatic that there are different types of definitions. So for one, lunatic can mean someone who's like mentally a little bit unstable, extremely foolish, or eccentric. But lunatic is all about actually being ruled by the moon. All right, it comes from Latin luna, which means moon. And it is basically the belief that changes of the moon cause intermittent insanity. That's where this actually comes from, all right? So I hope that that gave you some clarity, that that gave you some insight on a common word and how it is misused, or we don't really understand the origin, hence also why we've got the moon here, and she's gazing towards the moon, which is almost making her a little crazy, right? Because the different phases of the moon change the phases of you and also your mood. After all, within the goddess of the sea, remember, it is human for you to actually have your mood change throughout the different seasons of the month and the fluctuations of the moon. We are made of 60 to 70% water. The moon literally rules our tides. It creates ebb and flow. So what does that mean when we are made up of mostly water? Obviously that will have some sort of effect on us and our cycles and our emotions, as well as water is closely linked to our emotions. Then we've got the number 1, which represents the mystic. There is a reason you have those dreams, all right? So there are dreams and visions that you're having, and you may ask yourself why you are having those. There is a reason for it, group number 3, and these visions were given to you because you're the one who's able to bear it. You're the one who's able to carry it. Other people would not be able to take on the responsibility of some of these visions, because sometimes you see things prior to them actually happening. There are times where you have these weird deja vu moments where something transpires IRL and you feel like it's already happened in the past. You feel like it's already happened before, even though there's no possible way for this to actually be the case. But you just have these very profound connections to not only the present moment, but to different occurrences where you just know there's something intuitive about you and you see things before they were able to occur as well. So not just feeling this deja vu in the moment of something happening, but also being able to predict things before they have transpired. So we've got the camel, which brings the message to trust that you have the resources to get through the challenges before you. You probably know this, that camels are extremely resourceful as they can store a lot of their water reserves and just generally reserves that they need to stay alive in a space like the desert. They can store that in their bodies within these humps that they've got. And this is a representation of you remembering you have a lot more ambition, discipline, a lot more stored within you than you've even made use of. Sometimes we think, oh, we're trying hard, but actually we've only pushed ourselves like 30%. And I sometimes test myself, and the easiest way for me to do that is to do it through physical activity and through working out. You think that you're working hard, but if you really say to yourself, okay, let me just run for as far as I can until I can't anymore, it's usually like double, triple, 4 times what we actually thought our limit was. At least that's true for myself. But if you really think about it, if you're at the gym and let's say it's like a do or die situation, you have to pump out as many repetitions as you can, you would probably be able to pump out quite an additional more than you actually do. And I'm not saying that you have to push yourself to every single limit every single time, but this is to remind you that you have far more strength and resources than you use, than you're aware of. So in the moments where you really want to do something, use them. They're here for a reason. If you don't use them, they're not getting any better, nor can you save resources and then use them at a later time. Your time is now. Use the resources you've got now. They will replenish themselves in 1 to 2 days and continue to grow also your entire kind of storage house of resources. The more you use it, the more it grows. Think abundance mindset. Now the zebra brings you the message to let go of your fear and to know that you are safe and protected at all times, because sometimes making yourself that person who is driven, who does things differently, who stands out from the crowd, it can feel as though you are also making yourself vulnerable. And that can lead you to feeling a little bit uncomfortable or insecure around certain people or in certain crowds, because you don't, of course, want to attract any unwanted attention or get any kind of unwanted or negative feedback. And the blue heron is trying to communicate to you to make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And that's the thing. A lot of people, they judge, they disapprove until it works. You're crazy until it works, then you're a genius. Everybody wants what you have, but nobody wants to do what you had to do to get it, right? Everyone wants the glowed up version of you, but nobody wants to know what it was like to go through the trenches, to go through the depression, to go through the moments where you wanted to give up and you didn't want to continue believing in yourself, and it was a struggle and it was challenging and tough. Everyone just wants the origin story of how from 0 to 100 you became this heroic version of yourself. And I want you to hold on closely and tightly to the people whom you can confide in, especially in the times when you're struggling. What comes as a really big surprise is that your breakthrough and your moment of like liberty, you breaking through and becoming successful, there's going to be no traces of the things that you've been through. No one is going to be able to see how much you went through to get there. And the wreath shows me here that what comes as a surprise is that in a sense, you will feel a little bit of sorrow over the loss of the struggle. And a lot of people, once they become really successful, it's not that they want to struggle again, but there's a little bit of this sorrow over that version of you that was extra hungry, extra driven, that was super resourceful, and in a way, sometimes you're far more creative when you have less resources because you have no choice. And when you have no choice, all of a sudden you do things very differently. Now, the crib is an indication of a birth or a conception of a child or an enterprise, which comes as a complete surprise, completely unexpectedly for you, group number 3. Now, this is going to come in the most unexpected way because you felt like, okay, I'm still on a different path. I'm not yet ready for this child or enterprise. I'm not yet ready for this to happen. But somehow it happens, and here within the heart, it feels right. We've got love, deep affection, caring. We've got this feeling of love, of this being the right place for you to be, the right thing to happen to you at this point in time. The heart represents care, it represents warmth, it represents, as I already mentioned, love, and it represents being in a space where even if things aren't perfect, love is truly what matters, and in many ways the antidote to a lot of things. Just being love, expressing love, experiencing love, sharing love, giving love. And here within the rabbit, all right, we've got a lot of concerns with things in the intimate realm, with everything that is not PG-13, my gorgeous souls of group number 3. Now, the rabbit and the heart and the crib, this is giving child vibes. This is giving actual baby vibes, actual fetus vibes, all right? So you heard it here. If this isn't really, really not in the cards whatsoever, no pun intended, take the necessary precautions, group number 3. However, if you're open to it, or if you can picture it happening, don't be surprised, don't be shocked at this touching your life, about the conception of a child in your life actually being a big surprise, actually being something that you didn't expect once you do find out. And we have the month of October as the month of this unraveling for you, group number 3. This is the important surprise revelation month when it comes to the crib, when it comes to the heart, when it comes to love. Now, group number 3, we are just at the start of your reading. You know I like to make these so personal. I like to go into great detail, and there's still so many messages about upcoming surprises that Spirit has for you. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to do a thing. Simply leave a crescent moon emoji below in the comment section to let me and others know that you were part of group number 3 and you watched your first part of your prediction. Now what I'm going to do is clear and cleanse the space, and then I'll be right back so we can delve even more deeply into your reading. So group number 3, as already mentioned, don't lift a finger, don't do a thing. I'll be right back to guide you into more details about the next surprises that are inevitably coming towards you. Welcome back, my beautiful soul of group number 3. Let's delve more deeply into the next surprises that are coming into your life, shall we? Let's see what your guides have to say. We've got perception as well as love. Wow, what is coming into your life next as a surprise is new love, and it's going to completely change your perception of love. So this means you are gaining a completely new perspective on love, and you're seeing love from a clearer slate than you ever have before. The different types of love. There is platonic love, there's romantic love, there's love when you're loving someone from a distance. There's love that is close up, and for example, a partnership like marriage. But what comes as a huge surprise to you is that love is not only available, but it's coming straight to you. And then here within the sage, you always know precisely how to categorize people from here on out, because you've learned so much and gained a lot of wisdom from your past experiences, group number 3. The sage, as you can see, has this like scepter. We've got the wolf that indicates intuition, as well as just having this natural ability to be tough, to be strong. We've got the owl, which is a symbol of wisdom and knowledge and also foresight. And the sage, love, and perception is changing your perception in love, because no longer are you looking at romantic love, for example, and just seeing who you're infatuated with right now. But what you're doing is you're planning from the end to the front. So the end for you in romantic love is perhaps to find someone with whom you can spend a lifetime with whom you can have a healthy relationship with. And when you plan from that end goal, things look very different in the present moment. All of a sudden, that person that you are infatuated by, all of a sudden that person that isn't able to do more than a situationship looks real unattractive, because you know that your end goal can't be reached in that situation. So having the wisdom to look at, all right, what is my goal? And then finding the matching puzzle piece to go with that. That's one thing that I see that comes as a huge change in your perception of how to deal with things, how to handle things, who to choose to be around you, who to basically, with like the sword, to cut away, to slay away. I just want you to know here, group number 3, that this is a really healthy approach for long-term goals being met and not being so affected in the short term by any kind of present conditions that are maybe not yet optimal or not yet exactly how you want them to be. So next up here, we have the 6 of air. The 6 of air shows us that we've got these two sides, right? We've got the light side, the white side, and the dark side, the black side. And in between, we have this kind of array of colors, this rainbow, if you will, of colors. We have the purple hair, and she too is holding something that's almost like a wand that also has wings on it, with one side of the wings being white, the other side of the wing being black. And what this shows is that there's always duality, right? Even in this dark side, there is light, and while in the light side, we've got the dark, and one cannot exist without the other. So just as, for example, happiness cannot exist without sorrow, the same goes for white and light not being able to exist without darkness. They need one another. We need the contrast, and in the contrast, in the in-between, is where so much happens when we learn to love that, when we learn to appreciate the fact that we can feel, when we learn to appreciate the fact that there can be light and darkness, and it's not just one monotone, constantly same energy and same feeling. Just imagine, for example, if you've had days where it was just sunny on end, and at the beginning it was like, great, oh my God, the sun's shining, it's warm, the weather is amazing. Then it happens for a week, and you're like, okay, this is still great, this is still really nice. Then 2 weeks later, the grass is starting to become brown because it's so dry, and the heat is starting to feel heavy. It's starting to feel like every day the sun is beating you. It's no more this nice sunshine. It's like, can we get some rain? Can we get a break from this? Can we allow for the earth to be nourished? Can we get a little something different as well? And the same goes obviously for also periods of time where there's just a rain season and everything is dark and gloomy. It's like, can this stop? Because when things happen on end for a really long time and it's always the same monotonous routine and monotonous feeling, we don't thrive off of that. As humans, we thrive with there being this balance, with there being different aspects, different viewpoints, with there being so many individual perspectives and colors and feelings. And I also see here that when it comes to love, you are most likely going to end up with someone who has some parts to themselves that are so different to you, but you're seeing love, and I know this does not sound romantic, but hear me out, you're seeing love as a little bit of a business as well. And you want someone who complements your strengths and who also helps to offset some of your weaknesses. So to you, a relationship, a marriage is almost like a business in the sense of, if you're really creative and you're the one who is also great at planning, you want someone who is chill to go with those plans. You don't want someone interfering in what you're good at. You want them to do what they are good at. You know, whether that is going with the plans, whether that's footing the bill, whatever it is that you are looking for, group number 3, all jokes aside, you want someone who complements that. You don't want someone who is the complete mirror of you. You want someone who brings something to the relationship that you lack or don't love to supply or just don't want to supply. Maybe you don't want to be the organized one. Or maybe you do want to be the one who keeps everything in check, and you love being around someone who's creative, someone who likes to cook, someone who likes to sing. Just having the knowledge over who you are and what you're good at will make it a lot easier for you as well to have the perception that is super clear about who you would like to pick romantically and who's perhaps not the best match for you. Having this clarity and knowledge over yourself and what you like about you, what you appreciate in others, what you find attractive, it makes dating a lot easier because you can tell very quickly whether someone is attractive to you or not, whether someone is compatible the way you want them to be compatible, because there are different levels of compatibility in love. And you've come to this point where you understand that either someone is really truthfully extremely compatible with you, or you would rather just be by yourself because it's just not worth the stress. And you want someone who is compatible in the areas of your life that you crave that kind of other half from. So, all right, we've got wealth. So one thing that I can see here is compatibility when it comes to not just finances. You know, wealth is a very holistic way to see things. Wealth is, of course, also having financial stability, but it also has to do with feeling healthy, with feeling happy with oneself, glowing from the inside out, having your mental health in check. And then obviously love is another thing where you want to be extremely compatible with that person. And it creates more love when you're on the same page about wealth and well-being. And love is something, compatibility in love is about being compatible when it comes to quote unquote rules, unspoken rules in the relationship about what the definition of cheating is, or what the definition of doing something that isn't right is within your relationship. For some people, cheating is messaging with a person who, you know, if your partner has an ex, for example, them messaging their ex and you having no clue, that is cheating for some people. For others, cheating is once you're actually physical with another person, and until you haven't done that, it's not cheating. Everyone has their own definition. Everyone has their own unspoken boundaries. Some people are okay with both and all. It's not about the fine print. It's about the fact that you and your person that you'll end up with, you have the same definition, and that's why love works, because you don't feel like the other person is engaging in foul play. You don't feel like the other person is undermining your love by doing things that harm the relationship. And lo and behold, we received the 10 of Cups. You can't make this up. The 10 of Cups is literally the most positive card when it comes to long-term relationships, marriages, bonds. As you can see, these two people are deeply in love. We've got the 10 Cups. It shows fulfillment. It shows trust. It shows basically a king and a queen together. Of course, adhere this to your situation. Not everyone is in this kind of like typical gender role. This is just how it's depicted in this deck. You guys, one thing about the 10 of Cups is that this love is built on mutual adoration and respect. This love is what actually also builds more wealth, because you're on the same page, you have the same goals together, you want to accomplish the same things, and you will be really fruitful. And this comes as a huge surprise, finding someone who's on the same page, who would, for example, rather forego having expensive brand names and going shopping at places where things are overpriced, and they would rather invest, they would rather create a business with you, they would rather have their financial gains generate more financial gain so you guys can build a future together, literally already having like a savings for your kids so they can go to college, so they can have whatever education that they want or pursue whatever hobby that they would like to. And I see here within the Chariot, wow, two very strong-minded people coming together. Do you see the duality again? We've got the dark horse and the light horse, but they are moving in the same direction, and that's when the Chariot is able to be a very fast-moving vehicle. In this instance, the vehicle that your guides want to talk about within your reading is your romantic life, it's your relationship, it's love, and that is pushing forward. Your love life is about setting goals, setting intentions, and reaching those goals. And because you have goals together, that really bonds you. That really creates this glue, basically, that keeps you and your future spouse, your future partner, so in tune with one another, and you barely even argue. That's what I see here in the Seven of Crystals reversed. So the Seven of Crystals upright, as you see, all of these spheres would be coming towards you, towards this individual, and that is a very combative depiction, right? You see how that's basically like a person who's defending themselves. But because this card showed up in reverse, this shows that all the defenses are down. This is not an ego game. You guys do not argue with one another because of ego or because of just like one of you wanting to be right. It's literally just a thing of let's find a solution together to reach these goals. And it's beautiful to see this because you are making the most of your life. While a lot of people are in unfortunate relationships where they argue a lot, you are literally in a situation where you're experiencing more of life because you're spending less of it in disagreements or in arguments. Then we also have the flute. The flute shows that you bond over disappointments that you've had in friends and past lovers. So when you find one another, it creates this huge sense of wealth and love because you understand you are on the same page. Past disappointments, like partners who cheated, who lied, who were really terrible in every sense, and who hid things, it creates so much of a stronger connection once you find someone who doesn't do that, who went through the same thing, and you can really confide in them. And you have that trust that for sure that's not going to happen between the two of you ever. And here within the barking dog, one thing about your future partner that may come as a shock to you, they are really like the best place to go to for advice. Yeah, you may have your mother, you may have your best friend, you may have your therapist, you may check, online portals, you may come to YouTube, you may come to my channel. But the number one source of advice for you is your future partner. It's your spouse. It's the person that you are in love with. And I love this for you, group number 3, because this is the type of relationship that you can change the world with. And one thing that I also get here with all of this knowledge, all of this very grown-up type of energy, there's no drama, there's no infidelity, and the relationship is kept extremely private because you understand that what people don't know, they can't ruin, they can't judge, they can't kind of try to interject their opinions and energies into. So keeping your relationship very private, and of course, making it clear that you are in a relationship, but not sharing details. Literally, the barking dog is about going to one another for a lot of advice, rather than you going to your entire friend group and telling them all of the things you're struggling with in your relationship for some people to then give you feedback that causes friction in your marriage. That's not how you're doing it. You're going directly to your partner, you're discussing things directly with them, and not much has to leave the relationship. And that's what makes the bond so strong. As you can see, they are literally one. And that is what makes the trust so unshakable, group number 3. So I love what we've gotten here in this portion of your prediction. I can sense that there are more messages available for you about what comes as a huge next surprise in your life. So group number 3, you don't have to do a thing, you don't have to lift a finger. We're going to move even more deeply into your prediction as I clear and cleanse the space, and then I'll be right back for us to figure out more of the surprises that are coming towards you that you had absolutely no clue of until you received this reading. Hello, my lovely soul of group number 3. Welcome to your reading, going even more in depth about the next surprises that are coming towards you. So let's see what those surprises are going to be. We've got the Sun. This is a very favorable card to appear within your prediction. The Sun also correlates to master number 11, which is the master number of teachers. So literally you being put in a position where you are basically the sun, where you're the teacher, where you're the one who is put at as the center of attention. And if you don't usually love being the center of attention, fear not, group number 3. It's not like you're just being put in the spotlight and then you have to figure it out. You're being put in the spotlight and you know what you're talking about. So that is sharing your story, sharing your growth, sharing everything that makes you you. And the thing right now, if you feel like you're so far away from being an inspiration to other people or teaching other people and kind of entering this master teacher energy, be patient. It will come. It is assured to be yours. And also continue to make your manifestation something you put your actual power into. So for me, for example, a lot of my manifestations have to do with what type of space I want to create online for you and the entire unicorn army. And so for me, my manifestations have a lot to do with creating a really amazing safe space online where you can grow, where you can become the person that you want to be. And I'm taking action towards it, right? You guys see that through my videos, through my business, through everything that I put my heart and soul into, my tarot and oracle decks that I've published. Here within number 21, we've got blessings and curses. So your psyche is what you are being called to stop being ashamed of. Do not be ashamed, not of your thorns or of your flowers. They are both beautiful. Remember, they do say roses have thorns, and I mean, they don't just say it. Roses do come with thorns. And the thing here about self-love is accepting your thorns, accepting the parts of you that are maybe a little uneven or could even pierce another person down to the blood, basically, just like a thorn can prick you, can pierce you, can hurt you. So we all have a side of ourselves that is like a little thorn, and it depends how hard we're pushed or when we feel as though we're in fight or flight mode that thorn becomes dangerous or gets activated. But the thing here with blessings and curses is that you're the kind of person who is always extremely kind. So you felt a lot of thorns. I wouldn't say you dished a lot of your own. And the thing here is that at times it feels as though your gentle heart is almost like a setback for you. But here within potential and possibility, I do see that your highest self is within the quantum waiting for you to basically reach out and just grab it. Reach out to the potential that is calling for you. Remember, my gorgeous soul of group number 3, you are not just someone who is filled with potential that we want to continue knowing exists, but we want you to actually reach out and make that potential your current reality. And I talk about this a little bit on my second channel as well, the whole field, the whole quantum leaping and quantum realities, because basically every version you can picture in your head of yourself, the version of you that has the dream body, the dream home, the dream car, the dream relationship, she exists, they exist. All right. And the thing is, in order to access them, you have to take a different type of action than you've taken up until this point, because obviously the action you've taken up until this point has created your current result. And that's not to say your current result is good or bad. It's just to remind you that there are also other possibilities in your potential. There's other possibilities in the quantum field. But the thing is, in order to access those possibilities, you have to do something different in your current realm. So group number 3, let's move a little more deeply into it. Wow, we've got the Lovers card next. So within the Lovers, it is clear that it comes as a huge surprise for you, and we've had this show up already before. Love is such a big part of the next surprises that are coming towards you. Group number 3, for some reason romantic loves keeps showing up. It keeps being a topic of conversation within the upcoming surprises in your life. And here the Two of Cups reversed, literally the Two of Cups is another card of romantic love. It's another card of being in a committed relationship with another person, having respect, sharing with that person. It's showing up in reverse, which does indicate that there may be some delays to this. So you have to be a little patient. Remember, the Sun also brings the message to be patient, that it will come. You can manifest it. You've got the power to turn it precisely into what you want it to be. And through being patient, what you're doing is you're putting out the energetic vibration of not being needy, of not being in a space where it's like, oh my God, I have to have this person, or I have to be in a relationship. And as soon as you're so self-sufficient when it comes to your emotions, when you're at the point where you're almost like, you know what, I don't even want anyone right now, that's when you will find that romantic love enters your life. That is when you will find that someone comes your way who is so special, who kind of blows everything from the past out of the water and reminds you of what true love really is and what true love is made of. And you'll know that this isn't a time to pass up on this amazing person, and that they came at this very moment because you are now ready. And when you don't need something, that's when you become ready for it. But let's move a little more deeply into your reading, shall we? Let's see what else is coming your way, group number 3. All right, next up, we've got the Five of Voices. I do see here in the Five of Voices that there is surprisingly gonna be this situation around you where it feels like it's hard for you to see clearly who is extending an olive branch and who is just a faux friend, because you're the kind of person who is very sincere. Like, you're not gonna apologize or try to be friends with someone unless you genuinely mean it. But I do see here that you always have to look at things from two perspectives when an olive branch is being passed on to you. Meditating on it and just also giving your intuition a moment to decipher if someone just wants to be friends with you, to know more about you, or to benefit from a friendship with you, is going to be immensely helpful. And knowing more about you is something that you want to limit, especially as your love life is taking on such a beautiful shape, because you don't want anything to interfere with that. Group number 3, you want to make sure it can blossom and you can just experience your love story in the most beautiful and wholesome way. As I do see here within the Devil card, which showed up next, which is just so crazy how these cards speak so clearly in such volumes. There will be this temptation to overshare with someone that you think is your friend, that you think has your best interest at heart. But you know, all of those people who dig really deep to know things about you, and then all of a sudden, secrets that you had resurface in places they should not have popped up in. And you know precisely who the culprit is. You know who the quote-unquote devil was in this situation. So your guides are trying to tell you, refrain from doing that and trust your gut on false friends. And it's not even necessarily that these people are smart enough to like plot and plan this grand scheme of finding out so much about you and then kind of using that against you or causing any kind of disruption in your life. Some of these people are just naturally like that, you know, and you're going to want to stay away from people who like to gossip, from people who like to use their voice and their words for destruction. Because as we spoke about in the top tier, in the upper tier of the next surprises coming towards you, it's literally all positive, especially for your love life. And you want to make sure that any kind of people who like to argue, who like to cause friction, people who are extremely nosy, even though you don't know them that well yet, that is also a red flag. And I see here within the Empress that You are often a target for even literally strangers to come up to you and start talking to you because you just have this very nice and genuine aura and energy. And also, you are the kind of person that has a face that maybe at first it's like RBF, but as soon as someone starts talking to you, it's the difference of day and night. Like your entire face illuminates, you try to make others feel comfortable. You're the kind of person that when someone strikes up a conversation with you, in the back of your mind, in the back of your head, you think that it took courage for this person to do so. So you're not going to let them feel embarrassed for doing so. You're not going to make them feel like they shouldn't have. You're going to empower them by at least being kind and being the kind of person who always tries to like encourage other people in society to connect with new people. Even if you don't really see this person as a potential friend or partner and they had the courage to chat you up, you don't want to knock down their courage. As I see here within the page of voices, that it took you a really long time to be courageous enough to speak up, because already at a young age, at a young stage of your growing, you were beat down a lot. You were made to believe that your voice didn't matter, that it was completely replaceable, and that the things that you had to say were not intelligent enough to be heard out, which is of course completely false, group number 3. And I hope that you stop ever like believing or leaning into that narrative. Do not ever feel like going back to that place. You deserve so much better than that, group number 3. But this is just a reminder here that you are really doing such an amazing deed by being this person who allows for others to speak up always. I want us to add some letters into your reading as well. And another thing about speaking up that I'm just getting here within the Empress, be receptive to someone that you assume is represented here in the Devil card. Let them speak, don't interrupt, because when you let them speak and you're just in the seat of receiving, you can then truly, truly discern what their intentions are and what kind of person that you have before you. Okay, so we have F, E, U, and U. All right, so one thing that I am getting here is feu, which I believe means light in French. And so basically you are fire. All right, we've got you, feu. Also in German, Feuer would be fire, which also starts with F-E-U, and then it would be E-R. So one thing that I am getting here is fiery energy. One thing that I am getting here is that your passion is what really sets you apart from other people in the most positive way. And also your craziness, your quirkiness, your creative side. I'm getting a lot of reds here, so I see that you will find more sympathy with like red colors. You'll be more drawn to them than you ever have been before. Think red sweaters, red lipstick, and so on, red hair, and everything that has like a reddish undertone, a very warm, fiery undertone. The honeybee brings the message to let compassion and forgiveness be your top priority right now in your life. It may come as a surprise to you here with hard work and determination in your professional life. Sometimes you feel like the best way to do things professionally is to just do more work, right? Is to just work harder, is to just get more things done, is to just try to be the best, which I love that, group number 3, that you're such a fighter, that you're so courageous and strong, and that you're not lazy. But the honeybee is also indicative of being kind to yourself and resting as well. Remember, even ants, who are some of the hardest workers on this planet, even they sleep, even they rest. You deserve to have off days. You deserve to have rest days, and you don't have to first, quote unquote, earn them. The meerkat brings you this message to get support from a trusted group of like-minded friends. The meerkat is a very social creature. So your guides are basically trying to say to you, you will be surprised that actually in these next weeks from you receiving this reading, having more social interaction is recharging your batteries. It's actually not draining you. Being social and being in social situations, I know it has often really drained you, group 3. And especially if you consider yourself to need your me time, to have very introverted moments where sometimes you even forget to check your phone for a long time, you're just like so engulfed in whatever it is that you're doing. I just want you to know here that being around people right now is really healing for you. Being around other like-minded people, okay? It's about the details. So not just anyone, but like-minded individuals. And sometimes the challenge when you're growing, when you're evolving and transforming, is that you can't hang out with your former group of friends or with the people that you already know, because now you've changed so much and they feel uncomfortable around you. But you're not quite successful enough yet or established enough yet to fit into your new friend group of these like-minded individuals who have the same goals and aspirations that you do, of growth, of creating a legacy, of doing something in this world that is meaningful and positive. And the thing with this group number 3 is that the meerkat is always on the lookout. If you've ever seen, do you know that show? I don't know if it was just on German TV, but it was this show where there was like this family of meerkats that were being followed, I guess, by cameras, and we got to watch what was happening in the family of meerkats. Like, you know, little meerkat babies being born, them building their dens, and also like fending off, basically like fighting other predators like snakes and other animals that wanted to invade their family group and their dens and eat them and things like that. So when you see these meerkats, they're always just outside of their dens, and they're standing up tall like this on their hind legs, which looks so cute. And they're on the lookout for enemies. They're on the lookout for danger. And one thing here about the meerkat is that because they do this, they see everything that's going on. So don't just be on the lookout for where you perhaps, quote unquote, don't fit in anymore, or the things that are distressing you or that are challenging for you to figure out, but actually also be on the lookout for ways in which you can enter new social circles and friend groups, like reaching out to different places that are associated with your new interests. It could be that you're far more entrepreneurially driven, so then go to entrepreneurs events. It could be that, for example, now you're into running, you're into working out. There are groups in your town, in your city, trust me. I even saw some in my city here in Zurich in Switzerland. There are literally running groups. There are workout groups where you can meet new people. There's like female entrepreneurs associations. There's international women's clubs, depending on what it is that you want to join, what it is that you're interested in. And I want you to just know here, being on the lookout for these things is going to open a portal. It's going to open a door where you can join and enter into a fresh space, into a fresh group, where not only can you be yourself, but you can also grow, and you can avoid these quote-unquote devils. You can avoid people drawing you back into the old you, into who you used to be, and you just no longer really resonate with, because that's always the goal of the quote old friends trying to shame the new you. They want you to kind of go backwards again on your progress and be back in the space where they feel you belong, and put you back in the box where they feel that you should be in, rather than letting you thrive and be in this new environment. They want the old you back, and you have to avoid that at all costs, because you're here to grow, you're here to transform, you're here to really just become this highest version of yourself and leave the old you in the past. It served you then, but it's not going to serve you moving forward. And this is what we've received next for you. It takes a strong man to save himself and a great man to save another. So I do see here that what burns within you is a passion to help others too. I see that here within blessings and curses, and sometimes it can feel like it's such a curse because you're such a helpful person, and sometimes you will put helping others before helping yourself and doing things for yourself. Group 3, and this is not always the healthiest approach, because sometimes you have to put yourself first. Actually, in life, in so many instances, you have to do that. And I want to see precisely what area of life that Spirit needs to say to you, look, here's where you need to start putting yourself first completely. You need to stop spreading yourself so thin. Let's see what Spirit has to say. Okay, wealth, group number 3, in the area of wealth. So a holistic approach to your well-being. So wealth means your health, it means your finances, it means your time, right? It means all of these things that make up a wealthy life. A wealthy life is a fulfilled life. It's a life where you've got all of the different areas that make our human existence comfortable. You've got those figured out. And the thing here is that once you're stable, you often then drift into helping others, and then you become unstable again. So you figured out, for example, your work-life balance, then you take on other projects that are not technically your responsibility, and you try to help out, you try to always do more, and then all of a sudden you have no work-life balance again, and then the wealth dwindles again. So I know this is really challenging, group number 3, and trust me, you are by far not the only one who struggles with this, but try to take as much time as you can to really figure out where you're putting your focus and your energy, and how you can make sure that you maintain the optimal balance, and observing yourself. And for example, how many hours of social interaction per week do you think that you thrive on? How many hours of working out per week can you tell makes you feel good? How many steps do you like walking per day? What makes you feel good with that? By still also challenging yourself. What kind of foods make you feel really good? What times do you like to eat? What makes you feel most productive when it comes to that? And then try to really follow that formula that makes you the best you, because we all have a formula. And I know it sounds like terribly analytical, and I myself am not a huge fan of anything that is like a bit dry and analytical. However, it makes a lot of sense to find that balance by actually quantifying it, because otherwise we don't really know where we stand. So it's not about knowing this down to the minute or being really tough on yourself with this, but it's just about actually getting to know yourself better, learning more about you and the things that make that crucial impact on your wealth and overall well-being, the things that affect you positively, and then making sure that you always have those as part of your day, week, or month, depending on the frequency that you need these things at, and also depending on, how often it's even possible. Like, you may not need social interaction every single day, but perhaps every second day you do need to at least like call a friend or go out for a coffee or just go somewhere social, even if it's the gym. Perhaps it's not every single day that you have the energy to reach 10,000 steps per day, but psychologically and physically it feels really good to do that 5 days per week, for example. So it's about figuring out approximately where your best self lies, and then also, of course, making sure that you try to challenge that a little bit. Like the other weekend, a couple days ago, I decided when I went for a run to just see like how far can I run until I just can't anymore. So not until I am so unwell that I feel like I have to go to hospital, but just until I'm like, okay, I can't anymore. And I shocked myself, I really did. I ran 25 kilometers on Sunday, and it was not really that hard. I probably could have still gone further. And I like literally did it in 2.5 hours at a really good pace. And 2 days later, I'm like fully recovered. I didn't even have like super sore muscles the next day or anything like that. I took good care of myself, and I just pushed myself as far as I could as an exception. I love to run on Sundays, and I thought this time, let's just see how far I can go. Let me just not even check my watch, and let me just put on an amazing podcast and just let time fly by and have my own private moment. And that's what came of it, and it was absolutely beautiful. It felt like such a self-care moment. And the thing here that I see within rejection is that so often you've tried to like make things right for everyone, and then you feel rejected because in a sense you're too focused on creating this image that others like. And that's also what I did on Sunday. Rather than trying to paint a picture of who I am that is likable or easily digestible, I just said, how far can I push myself? because it's not likable to be that person who says, oh yeah, I just ran 25 kilometers, which is, I don't know, like 15 miles or something. I just did it and I'm fine and I'm not feeling any way and my day carried on. Like, it's not likable. People then always want to put you in this category of, oh, you're crazy, you're doing too much, you should recover, you need like a week off, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, like, we don't have to try to fit in with all of these voices or even care what anyone may think of our creations. It's your canvas, quite literally speaking. If you want to paint, for example, the entire day, and you want to paint something and just not care whether it is liked by others, whether others find it aesthetic, go for it. If you want to spend a whole day creating music, if you want to challenge yourself and get 100,000 steps in a week, if you want to challenge yourself and go phone free for 4 hours in one go per day, and use that time to see how productive you can be, whether that's work, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's working out, reading, journaling, a combination of all of these things, just do it without even caring whether there is any likability there. Because yeah, balance is necessary for a lot of people. But if you really want to be immersed in something, balance is not a thing. And Spirit is also trying to say to you, don't be impatient, okay? The first time that you do this or you practice this, it may not go exactly as you hope that it would, so try to not have a rigid image before you of what you want the outcome to be. For example, I didn't have any rigid image of what the outcome should be when I went for my run. I had no idea what would happen. And also, speaking of patience, running is something that I have done regularly, so I also knew it's not like I'm challenging myself from 0 to a level that is dangerous for me, because I strengthen my body, I do strength training, my knees are really strong. At the beginning they hurt when I used to run. I couldn't run for very long at all. My heart rate would be extremely high, like my lungs would burn. It would literally feel like you are deceasing, right? You know how it is if you've gotten on a little bit of running, jogging bandwagons, and then you've fallen off and you try to get back in. It's hard, but I feel like getting back in is always a lot easier once you've had like a little consistent streak, even if it's like a couple weeks or months thereafter. But you're gonna have to be patient with yourself if it's something that you haven't done in a really long time. But still, don't let that stop you from exploring. Don't let that stop you from doing what you want to do. So be really patient with yourself, because if you never start again, you're never going to even have the opportunity to get to that desired result. So give yourself time and know that, especially if you're starting something new or from scratch or you haven't done it a lot, chances are that you're gonna not be great at it at the beginning, but enjoy this phase, because just as with everything, there's always that rocky start. And then once you get into the flow, once you start to kind of like figure out how it works for you, you figure out the little tricks, the nooks and crannies of how to do things well, you get the discipline in, it is so rewarding to then see the strides that you took forward, literally, if it's something that you want to challenge yourself on physically, or, you know, in the sense of taking strides forward in a skill that has nothing to do with physical ability. But what will come as a huge surprise to you is how much further you can push your mind and your body than you thought possible. And now's the time in your life to try it. Now's the time in your life to see how far can you go, and can you find a little more. And that doesn't mean you have to go that far every single day, every single week, every single time you do the thing, but it's just testing the waters, just seeing how far can you take things. And then you can find the comfort zone that's somewhere between completely comfortable and completely doing the max, or what you think is the max at the moment. And that's maybe where you rest and you're productive, you're doing well, and you're making progress forward. But we have to see the part of the spectrum that we've been missing out on, which Spirit is saying what lights you on fire, and then seeing how big and explosive that fire can get before you kind of have it dimmed down, before you turn the fire off, before you put it out. And remember, here within the sun, you are so full of rays of light, of energy, of life force. Use this and see just how much you can do in this lifetime This is not a practice lifetime. There's no other opportunity. The opportunity is now, group number 3. So give yourself the permission to see what you're capable of and to make yourself proud in that, regardless of where you end up. So group number 3, this is the reading that I've received for you. Leave a fire emoji below in the comment section to let me and others know you were here, you received your reading, you watched it all the way to the end, because that's the only way anyone would know that you're part of group number 3 and that you watched your entire reading and spent this entire time here together, is by leaving that fire emoji below. So wherever you are on this gorgeous planet, group number 3, I'm sending you so much love. Don't forget, I have a free tarot course linked in the description box. I also have a free manifestation course. You can take both of them. When you take them, as mentioned, they're free. They also come with free communities where I post on basically almost a daily basis. I post either card pulls or voice notes, and I reply to your comments. I also have moderators in there. So this is a space where you can find support, where you can learn, and where you can also celebrate your biggest wins with like-minded people from all over the world, thousands of us. So it's linked in the description box, group number 3. It's completely free. Make sure that you join if this sounds like something that would serve you. And as mentioned, wherever you are on this gorgeous planet, I'm sending you so much love, and I can't wait to connect with you during one of our upcoming predictions.